these idiot kids.
All you history buffs listening, you know what I'm talking about. You got that reference.
I mean, he just laid down on a slab and just down there.
That's a great one, Tim.
I got nothing.
That's a great one. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
He's like, my name's Zach Bowman, and you know, I just really like your name too. It had nothing to do with my.
And he drank every day starting at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of A2ZMN009.
Should have been gone.
I'm here with Aaron,
Hey guys, what's up?
old Tim P,
I'm back. Hello.
and Mr. Courville.
Hello.
This is quickly turning into the crew.
The
Yeah,
crew. I would say this is
This
the
one
crew.
might sound weird, you guys, because Chris Courville is doing this live via satellite, so he's not actually here in the room with us.
Yeah, this is true.
There might be a delay.
So tonight, following up on the last one we recorded was Independence Day, but that came out a while back. I have no idea when this is coming out, but we decided on changing it up and doing Goldeneye. Goldeneye is a 1995 British spy film and is the 17th in the James Bond series produced by Eon Productions and the first to star Pierce Brosnan as the fictional MI6 officer James Bond. It was directed by Martin Campbell and is the first in the series not to utilize any story elements from the works of novelist Ian Fleming. The story was conceived and written by Michael France, with later collaboration by other writers. The name Goldeneye pays homage to James Bond's creator, Ian Fleming. While working for British Naval Intelligence as a lieutenant commander, Fleming liaised his liaison with the Naval Intelligence Division to monitor developments in Spain after the Spanish Civil War is an operation codename Operation Goldeneye. He also named his bungalow after that. Goldeneye,
Really?
the little the thing out in the ocean or Caribbean.
Oh yeah.
Goldeneye was released after a 6-year hiatus in the series caused by legal disputes during which Timothy Dalton resigned, and he was replaced by Pierce Brosnan. M was also recast with actress Judi Dench, becoming the first woman to portray the character. The role of Miss Moneypenny was also recast. Desmond Llewellyn was the only actor to reprise his role as Q.
Yeah.
It was the first Bond film.
There's a money penny in this one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, you remember.
It was the first Bond film made after the dissolution of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War, which provided a background for the plot. The film had a budget of $60 million and accumulated a worldwide gross of $350.7 million, and it received positive reviews and award nominations for Best Achievement in Special Effects and Best Sound from the British Academy of Film, Television Arts, BAFTA. 7.2 on IMDb, 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 65% on Metacritic. And we have the film synopsis, trailer synopsis pulled up. If Tim, you want to take it this time?
When a powerful satellite system falls into the hands of Alec Trevelyan, a.k.a. Agent 006, played by Sean Bean, a former ally turned enemy, only James Bond can save the world from an awesome space weapon that, in one short pulse, could destroy the Earth. As Bond squares off against his former compatriot, he also battles Trevelyan's stunning ally, Xena Onatopp, played by Famke Janssen, an assassin who uses pleasure as her ultimate weapon.
Dang, that was good. That was good.
I was channeling the 90s
I liked
trailer,
it. I loved
guys.
it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, we're going to start this movie before the lion yell in 3, 2, 1, and we can get our shot.
As of always, we're
Cheers.
going to do a shot. As of always, you guys can watch along if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit play. Cheers, you guys. To the Queen.
Isn't it so nice being in here with like a refrigerator with beverages and stuff? It's so great.
We're really coming up in the world.
Yeah, we finally got the fridge in. I mean, we had that at the house too, but it's nice to have. This
Yeah.
place is just slowly becoming a home away from home.
It kind of is, yeah. And
Now
yeah.
I'm gonna say we do these a little different. We usually go around the table and say why this, but we picked this just right off
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the
for
end
sure.
of last week.
We can cut that whole thing.
But this
if
is
you
a
want.
whole. Obviously, the James Bond films are very famous for starting right off with a big action set piece. Before they even roll credits, there's always like this huge, action set piece. So here we are already in it right off the bat, and it's worth noticing that this stunt coming up, when he jumps off the dam, everybody knows it. Even if you're not watching along with us, you know what we're talking about.
It's iconic.
It's a very
Yeah.
real stunt man.
And
And
probably-
how's that gate opening? He's just running at this gate?
It's electric.
Did he just?
He hacked it.
Was that motion sensor? But yeah, this is a real guy right here. This is an insane stunt, and I believe they the what you see in the film was the first take. I believe he only actually did it one time.
Well, I mean, how many times would it take for you to jump off of a...
They had cameras down there at the bottom of the cavern and along the sides. I believe there's even a helicopter.
What
Look,
dam
just
is
because
this
the
even?
guy died whenever he made landfall doesn't, it was
Yeah.
one take, but they just didn't want to hire another dude.
Nobody else was going to do it. Yeah.
Zach, what dam is this?
Oh, let me find out.
If you look right there, you can see that is
Not Pierce Brosnan at all.
What really trips me out is that he could actually jump, because I don't know if you've ever been in one of these mega dams. They, like, slope.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
not Pierce Brosnan.
Well,
But
it was
never, like, straight like this, so it's pretty cool.
It was
that
like
you
a
can do
big
this.
deal
Yeah.
for them to even have access to be up there filming. Like it was, I believe, like a big trial of like
It is called-
getting the okay to actually let him jump off.
It is
of
called the Contra Dam, located in Ticino, Switzerland.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think it was one of the tallest, the fourth tallest in
know.
Switzerland. Yeah.
That would be strong enough to pull him on that bungee cord.
Ball
Now,
him with
okay,
all
now
his
just
gadgets.
not physics, I guess, but okay, he just jumped off this dam, went way down there,
Yeah.
and he's cutting his way in, so he's way down right now. So just keep that in mind later.
Oh, you're talking about some...
Kind of how'd they get back there kind of thing.
How'd they do that?
it's movie magic.
And for fans of the video game, this is the very first level of the game.
It is,
You
yeah,
come
yeah.
in
It's
through
where you
this-
start off.
Yeah,
That's
you
right,
start
yeah.
off coming in through there, and you kill the dude in the stall.
That's the thing about all of us is we're all very similar in age. We all grew up in the 90s, and I mean, I remember seeing this movie a lot, but I definitely have much more
Vivid memories.
of playing the games.
Same.
You know, as we go through this, you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that level in the
I mean,
game.
well,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if you really think about it, like you watch the movie takes 2 hours. It's a 2 hour movie, so you watch the movie 3 or 4 times. That's what.
Yeah, it's like
eight
6 or
hours
8,
of
yeah.
experience, and then the game. God knows how many
We
hours we
sunk
put into
like
the game.
200
Yeah, same.
hours probably just playing our friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, one weekend.
4-screen on a big TV, man. Like,
Yeah, 1996. If you were going over to your buddy's house to spend the night, and
Bring your N64
bring your
controller.
N64
You
and
better
go
bring a
over.
controller.
Yeah,
or you
Hell
have
yeah.
that rich friend that already has them all. You know.
yeah.
I had a buddy of mine. His family was pretty well off, and they had one of those big. It was like the biggest square TV you could get at the time. You know, the big giant monstrosities.
Yeah, they were still
Yeah.
boxes. Yeah.
Like they
oh yeah, the two.
Oh right, right.
Yeah,
The-
yeah,
they were,
yeah. I mean, I'm
the,
talking-
no, they were the projection screen.
Right.
TVs,
It
yeah.
was like a 50-inch
Yeah.
or 60-inch square,
Oh,
and
damn.
it was perfect for Halo.
Enter Sean
Hey,
Bean.
if you ever
Enter
get,
Sean Bean, who's not dying in this scene.
if you ever see one of those on the side of the road, like somebody's throwing away, and
Pick
you
it
see
up.
them like, pick it up.
Yeah.
Because Halo 1 does look really, really good on them, and
Yeah.
if nothing else, you can actually harvest the projector screen like that. It's like a flexible.
Cannibalize it and pull it out.
Well, you can use it, and it's like a badass fire starter. It's like a magnifying screen.
Have y'all
Anyway.
ever seen the early projection TVs where it was like it's like a red, it's a red,
There's three
green,
color-
and
yeah,
blue.
three
There was
color.
like a drawer underneath it that pulled
Yeah.
out, and it had the three.
Yeah,
that
I remember
shined
seeing
up
one of
at it.
those and it just blew my mind.
Yeah, amazing how that used to be like.
It was the
Whoa!
pinnacle.
Yeah,
That was the pinnacle.
top notch.
I forgot a fun fact in this. The iconic gun barrel scene that all of them start off with, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
This one is the first one where they ever used CG for it.
Really?
Yeah. It's the first time that they ever did CG for the gun barrel.
A lot of firsts in this movie from
Whole
the read
lot,
at the
yeah.
beginning. I mean, first for Pierce Brosnan, it was the introduction of Judi Dench, who ended up sticking around until the last.
The first time we ever saw
Goldeneye.
another 00 agent.
Oh, that's true
and
too.
she-
Yeah.
Oh, was it
Where
really?
we ever
Yeah.
heard
Yeah.
of 006.
There's never been another besides 006.
So another thing, I'm not sure if this is true, but I always heard that Pierce Brosnan was supposed to technically be
Well,
in the
here-
Timothy Dalton
I
ones.
was
They
just
were
about
wanting
to
to
say-
get it.
Well,
they
they
were
were
wanting to
in-
snag him.
Yeah.
Well, here, that's what I was
That's
about
what
to
I
get
said at
at.
the beginning.
He was in
He,
Remington Steel and all that.
Yeah,
so,
he had been
yeah.
wanting to do it for a while, and the studio wanted him too, and they wanted to get him before Dalton, and he really like. I think he even like.
Well, he was doing Remington Steel.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and he was stuck in
Right,
the contract,
right.
and they wanted to do another season, so he couldn't do it, and he was big upset. So
Yeah.
they got Timothy Dalton, whoever only did the one, License to Kill.
No, he did two.
He did two.
He did.
You only did 2? I thought you did
yeah.
3.
No, he did 2. He did Living
I thought Tomorrow
Daylights.
Never Dies. Tomorrow Never
No,
Dies.
that's
was-
No,
Brosnan.
that's Brosnan.
And then he did
Oh,
License to Kill.
I was thinking of Brosnan. Sorry.
He did In Living Daylight, and he did
And
License to Kill.
Yeah.
Which
so
I-
that when the contract was up, they got rid of Dalton, and a lot of people say that Dalton
I
was the
love
worst.
Dalton.
They said he was the worst.
I think
George Lazenby was the worst, and I'll
No.
talk about him.
Was that
People
the
really
guy
hate
from
Roger
Lazenby
Moore.
only
Roger
did
Moore's
one.
the worst.
Was
Yeah,
that
a lot of people hate Roger.
Her Majesty's Secret Service
Yeah,
or whatever?
George Lazenby only did one role ever, and it was like a fourth wall breaking kind
Yeah.
of thing. They almost made it comedic, like a guy leaves with a girl,
You know who
and he
else was
looks
on?
right at the screen and he goes, "That never happened to the other fella."
Oh, right.
Doo-doo.
Oh, that was in the very end, though. That was in the very end of the
Something
movie.
There was also that spin-off James Bond that I think happened between whenever they were figuring all this out. It wasn't an Eon production.
Woody Allen did Casino Royale.
So what you're talking about
way
maybe
back
that was
when.
it.
What
Yeah.
you're so there's two unofficial canon Bond films, right?
Right.
And I didn't have to look this up. There's,
Non-Eon, yeah.
there's so there was the first Casino Royale with Woody Allen,
Woody Allen.
which was ridiculous.
How does that not blow your mind? Yeah.
And then there was the one wherever Sean Connery came back, and it was
He retired and then came
he
back.
retired and came back. Fuck, what was that called?
You only live
brain-
twice?
You only live twice. That's it. And that one is actually I think it's non-canonical, or it's like it's unofficial.
So there's 3 non-Eon films. There's the Casino Royale. Mm-hmm. There is
Which was the first book Ian Fleming ever wrote.
Right.
Yeah.
We got some knowledge we're gonna drop on this shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I would say, we won't just specifically talk about this film. We'll be talking about Bond as a whole probably a lot in this.
What's
never say never again.
that? Okay,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
A lot of people don't remember Sean Connery, who obviously was the first, and a lot of people still say is the best.
Yeah.
He started going bald when he was 21 years old.
Right.
So in every Bond movie you see him in, he's wearing a toupee.
Really?
Yep. Connery has a toupee on in every single one of them.
Also heard any of the scenes where he's like driving a car.
He's not driving.
They had
Well, he's
projection
not wearing
screens and-
pants. Like he's just in boxers and a shirt.
Oh, it's probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of driving scenes, so I mean,
Right.
you know.
Well,
That's a
and look
couple
how
days.
those things just come flying out of there.
Well, they got a big ass spring behind them. Or
Yeah,
something?
exactly. Like, and those are all supposed to be full of gas.
Like liquid nitrogen.
yeah.
Or something like
So he went down. He jumped off that dam. He met up with 006. They went down further, then came up one flight of stairs, and somehow all of a sudden they're on top of a mountain.
that. I mean, there was an elevator or something.
Well, I mean, it's probably just a
I mean,
lower.
it's in Switzerland.
It's
that
a
a
lower
deleted
mountain.
scene?
So like
It's-
the
well, when
dam
you see-
could be at a very high altitude and then they go down and then
Well,
they're still at high altitude.
wait for the wide shot.
This is a lower mountain than the mountain they were on.
Are they on a prairie?
Yeah, you tell me the dam is higher up than where they are right
I mean,
there.
I don't know.
I mean,
Makes
Switzerland
sense.
is a very rocky place.
It could all be built into the mountain.
That's why they don't worry about anybody invading them.
Yeah.
So when you were talking,
You do have to suspend disbelief when you,
do
watch a Bond movie.
when any Bond, but when
Yeah.
you were talking about the whole Timothy Dalton thing and how he was going to do this and everything, it's
He
funny.
fell out. He fell out. What's he gonna do?
He ran over.
Go flying when it.
So all of that, like the troubled sort of not trouble production, but the trouble pre-production. That's a distinctive thing to say, but that was why between License to Kill and Goldeneye, that's the longest break of any Bond movie.
Yeah, it was 6 years. That's
Yeah.
right.
That was a
I
huge-
looking
The,
at
the, peop-
timeline
the
of
people
it,
that
yeah.
own the rights, it's Broccoli
Yeah.
is the last name, isn't it? Broccoli or Albert? It's Broccoli or
Broccoli,
something.
Broccoli,
Well, they actually own it. Is it? Am I
Broccoli.
okay? Well, as a kid
So
growing up,
Italian,
I just
broccoli, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, see, it's-
well, I mean,
it's
it is
broccoli.
It's
broccoli,
broccoli,
but
but it's spelled like broccoli.
well,
yeah.
him and Harry Saltzman co-produced most of the Eon
They-
films
they
until
held-
1975,
they held
and
the
then
rights.
he became broccoli became the sole
Yeah.
producer.
Yeah, that family still owns
And
it.
the only exception was Thunderball, and they became executive producers, and Kevin McClory produced. So.
There was more
Okay,
people.
there's
There was
no
more
way.
people rumored to play besides Pierce Brosnan. They wanted him.
Yeah, you
But-
want to name them off?
Yeah,
I
there
know,
was
I know
a-
a couple highlights.
So the other people that were rumored before Brosnan got on were Liam Neeson's,
Yeah.
the
That would've been
motherfucking Liam Neeson's.
I wonder what was he doing back in those days.
He did Rob Roy in
Rob
one year
Roy,
before
that's
this.
right, yeah.
In Dark Man is what he was doing.
Oh, that's right,
There was
yeah.
him, Mel Gibson, which I don't know how
That's
that.
ridiculous.
I don't even know how he got in there because he's not British.
No.
Well,
he's
but
Australian.
James Bond is Scottish. He's not British. He's
But-
highly considered an English.
Well, Scottish is British.
Oh, and now we
it's
enter
not English.
the
it's British.
classic,
right.
the classic
Yeah.
musical theme.
And then the other one was
Who did the musical
Sam,
theme for this
Sam
again?
and I
Neill.
love the Tina Turner.
Who was?
Goldeneye.
Tina Turner.
No, who else?
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill.
That's a odd choice.
That's an
the
interesting one.
three, and I love, by the way, before I'm gonna name off a couple too. I love this song that she does.
Tina
Tina Turner song.
And there was even a rumor they were going to gender swap it, and it was going to be Sharon Stone.
I think they're still doing that.
Well,
now,
they're talking about race swapping because they wanted.
I would love to
Idris
see
Elba.
Idris. I would love to see.
I
want
to see Idris. Yeah,
Idris
I
Elba.
want to see that.
Another person
Yeah.
I would love. Okay, because Daniel,
Gender swapping wouldn't make as much sense, but yeah,
But
dude.
because
Idris
he's
Elba.
such a misogynist. But that would be
Right.
cool to flip it on its head.
But Idris Elba would be badass because he's
Yeah.
a badass British dude. Like, he
Daniel
just-
Craig's last turn as James Bond is next November. And
Oh, is he
that'll-
doing another one?
He's doing one more.
I thought Spectre was it.
No, he's doing one more. November
I
2019.
think they should have tied it off.
Bums me out because Spectre just felt so rushed to me.
Yeah,
I think they
I didn't
should've
like
tied
it
it
nearly
off.
as
Like they
much as
packed
Casino.
2 movies worth of shit into one. Like,
But that's the last one he's doing. I really think that Tom Hiddleston would make a James Bond too. The guy that plays Loki.
he'd have to bulk up.
No,
a
he needs to
lot.
bulk up
He'd
some.
bulk
Yeah,
up.
You know
but
what?
if you've seen that guy in a suit,
No, he could. After watching Kong Skull Island, I think he could.
Take
do
your
it.
mic, Chris.
I think he'd be good.
Check 1, 2.
But a couple of other people that they thought about back in the day, Burt Reynolds.
Why all these Americans?
Yeah.
You can't have an American. They already said
not
it.
with a porn stash. Adam West was another one.
Jesus.
They turned it down. They actually approached Adam West and Burt Reynolds. They both turned it down. The third one,
Burt Reynolds would have been amazing.
Oh, shit, the
He'd
third-
have a Trans Am instead of a Aston Martin or something.
just make them. Yeah. There was another one that I couldn't.
before Casino Royale, before they casted Daniel Craig, they were going forward with that guy from Nip Tuck, and he was like Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four. I can't remember his name, but then they were going forward with him, and then one of the producers was like, "Nah, dude, he's American. He's disqualified."
Well, have you seen?
I heard before Daniel Craig, Timothy Oliphant was up for it too, or he was in the running.
Yeah, who's
I
that?
know Aaron's seen it, but the movie that basically landed Daniel Craig this part is called Layer Cake. Have y'all seen
Oh,
Layer
yeah,
Cake?
absolutely.
Which is an amazing movie you haven't seen. It's produced by the same people that produced Lock, Stock, Two
Yeah,
Smoking
Guy
Barrels.
Ritchie directed.
Right, and it's like it's kind of a drug crime kind of.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's a really great film. But
It's
like
like a-
looking at him in that, he's so small, and he looks like a villain. Like he doesn't really look like a good fit for.
He looks like
he
a
looks like a
James
Russian
Bond.
villain.
I remember the first time that to me, Pierce Brosnan
Beaumont,
looks
you see
the
that?
part more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan to me looks the part
I
of
agree.
James.
Yeah.
What I imagine in my head.
I
I
agree.
always felt like.
Well,
that's why I always thought Timothy.
With
Timothy
Connery
Dalton
setting the standard.
kinda- yeah.
Actually, I mean, I heard like
There's the new money thing.
the way that he's described in
I
the books,
gotcha.
like Brosnan kind of nails that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
And is that
God damn that car.
is that an Aston Martin?
Yeah.
You always
Yeah.
love those Aston Martins in these movies.
Well, the first movies was the what was it, the DB40 or something?
Yeah.
God, that car.
yeah, he gets some pretty sweet cars in these movies. And there's their introduction to Xena on a top.
On the top, that's such a good name.
Sounds like a '90s porn star.
On the top.
On the top.
She knows she's
all
on
the
top.
women, I mean, Pussy Galore.
Yeah.
I mean, the women's names are so insane in these
Now
movies.
he does. The movie does start with him in an Aston Martin, but I think one
It's
of
a
the things
BMW
one of the
later
things
on.
remembered about the Pierce Brosnan, the 3 movies he did, was pretty much all of them were sponsored by BMW. So
Yeah,
he drives BMW
He
motorcycles,
switches over to
BMW,
BMW
cars,
right? Yeah.
and I think that held through until some of the Daniel Craig films. I think they went back to Aston Martin, or maybe it was Audi or something.
No, he had an Aston Martin
Vanquish.
Vanquish or Phantom or some shit. Something like that.
But they start him off in that car because it's been
You gotta
6
put it
years
in
since they
there.
put one out. Like this is a new Bond. Let's
It
do a little
was
a little
kind of
callback.
it was kind of a soft reboot. You know,
What's awesome about this too is one thing that I kind of don't like about a lot of modern movies is whenever they do these reboots or like any sort of thing, they're like recast everybody, just fuck it. But whenever they did Casino Royale forward, they kept Judi Dench, and I'm like, that's awesome.
It's really neat.
Well,
at
also-
first it was confusing because I was like, is this it can be confusing to some
Yeah,
you know,
But
like,
the other thing to keep in mind, though, is that the 00 designations aren't necessarily tied to
Right.
one person.
Right.
Right. So it could be gender swapped. It could be swapped in any
Yeah.
way.
Yeah,
later.
I mean, it's their code name for this specific operative. It doesn't have to be.
Ian Fleming was a huge bird lover and bird watcher, and he
Yeah, he was.
came up with the name for James Bond from a guy who wrote a book
From a biologist, yeah.
He was a biologist, right? The guy's name was James Bond, and he thought it was
boring.
He thought it was boring.
He was like, it's the most unremarkable
dull,
name.
boring name, and that's what he wanted. He goes, I want to give this big, extravagant guy that can do almost as a superhero the most boring name I can think of.
And now it's iconic.
And now it's iconic. Yeah.
Be good for a spy. Like, you want to have a very unremarkable name to be a spy.
But nowadays, you're like, that's ridiculous. But at the time, nobody knew.
You can't be like, your name can't be like Dick Army and still be a secret agent.
Dude, Bond's been
Here comes
cheesing.
a
He's been
cheesy
cheesing.
domino effect.
The Tour de France.
James
Music,
Bond's he's
man.
been cheesing throughout this whole exchange.
He has so many great one-liners in this movie, and Bond started the one-liner.
Yeah.
I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger and all those guys would not be if it wasn't for Bond. The way he's like, well, that guy had a very inflated ego, after he blew somebody up.
I mean, that might have come from television more than anything.
So hey, check this out. This is a thing that I never realized was iconic to me, but
how rapey he is.
Oh no, not that. That's
He's
cool.
a huge misogynist. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. But he just opened up his center console and there was a chilled bottle of Bollingers. I had forgot because like from college on, if I were to get a bottle of champagne for a special occasion, I would always get a bottle of Bollingers. And I didn't really understand
was
why.
that like a
I think so. I never realized it until just
subconscious
now.
thing?
Yeah.
So because of the movies we watch, you got a Malamute.
I
Because
guess.
of the thing. You have a Bronco because of, what was the movie we watched?
Tremors or Roadhouse?
Roadhouse.
Was it Roadhouse?
Speed. I mean,
No,
there
it
was a
wasn't
Bronco
Speed.
in
But you
that.
talked about it a lot during Roadhouse, I think.
Probably. I don't. You know what? I don't know.
You bought
I can't
Bollingers
remember.
because of James Bond.
So basically, what you're saying is that I have a real personality. I'm just an amalgamation
your entire
of bullshit.
existence is built off of.
It's built off bullshit.
It's like Quentin Tarantino universe.
Well, I'm
It's built off of media.
extremely
I understand.
guilty of that too. I mean, there's a book, I can't remember who wrote it. I think it's been redone several
Tim,
times.
you brought a cutting board with "Here's Johnny" on it.
Yeah,
I mean,
everything I learned from film.
Yeah.
That's the name of the book, and that
Well,
definitely applies to my
have you
life.
heard of the connecting theory to Quentin Tarantino's universe?
Yeah, everything they're all
Well,
connected.
But
yeah.
but the big thing that hit with Inglourious Bastards is the reason that that the university built, that everybody's so obsessed with one-liners and quotes from movies and all these things, is because the World War II and Hitler was killed in a movie
so
theater.
it changed everything.
And World War
right,
II
right.
was ended because they killed him in a movie theater. So pop culture and media became such an important thing.
they changed the
yeah.
timeline.
Because that's how it, that's why all his movies is all quoting. And,
Same passions.
Well, again, synonymous with Bond, the Aston Martin, and then of course his
The
drink
martini.
of choice. Yeah, shaken not stirred.
And being in a casino for the 100th time.
Yeah, playing Baccarat. Baccarat.
Aaron, I'm surprised you're not in a suit sipping on a martini right now doing this.
I should be.
We
I
should be drinking martinis.
Look, I really
I
slacked
hate
off.
martinis.
You know what's funny is when we first started all this business, I would dress specially for each episode. I would get a special drink for each episode, and I've really slacked off. So thank you for pointing that out, Chris.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks for keeping me on my shit.
well, it was one thing whenever
on
we
your
thought it
toes.
would be a rare thing, but then we started doing it every
Is that
single
Ron
week.
Swanson right there?
That's true. It looks like him, don't it? Femke Jensen is like, she doesn't age, does
Killing
she?
it.
Like a fine wine.
She is like, I wonder how old she is now. She might be like
Probably
45
smells
or
like
50.
a fine wine.
She's still,
She's
so very-
probably
she's still so very
She's
attractive.
probably easy 50 right now. Yeah,
so very attractive.
yeah. There's few actresses that do that age gracefully. I mean,
her
Michelle
name?
Pfeiffer,
Famke Jensen.
Femke Jensen.
Famke.
Oh yeah, she still looks great.
She was on Netflix's original Hemlock Grove,
Yeah.
which was decent
Which
for one
the
season.
first
and
season
then
was
fell
fantastic.
completely off after that.
Oh, and she's in the Taken
The first season
trilogy.
was
That's
so
right.
good.
Well, she's
Yeah.
Jean.
Oh, and Jean Grey,
She's
yeah.
Jean Grey
And
in all
Jean
the
Grey.
X-Men
Okay.
films. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what she's most famous for now.
Yep.
I kind of feel kind of icky, and we've done it a couple of times, but I kind of feel bad whenever we do what we just did, where it's like, oh yeah, I know her. She still looks pretty good. It feels, I don't know why, it just feels kind of like rude.
Because we're assuming that they probably wouldn't.
You know what?
I don't know.
Well, because Bond. Okay, and I'm probably gonna.
There's a weird thing that I feel whenever we do that.
Well,
that I
y'all
feel kinda
tease me
shitty
because
about.
I always make some kind of misogynistic joke in our podcast, and everybody
Well, it's-
No,
listening.
I expect it now. I love it.
Well,
First of all,
everybody
first of all,
knows
for
that I'm-
anybody's listening, it's a part. We're playing
yeah,
parts.
I'm playing
Yeah.
a part. Everybody
this
knows
is-
that I'm joking. If you know me, you're obviously listening to
yeah,
this.
the Moon
because you
Knights
know me.
are basically us just
But
making comedy. Or
James
trying to.
James Bond. Bond is a huge massage. I mean, he's a womanizer.
Right.
He, over the course of all these films, there's 24 of them right now, with the 25th coming out next year.
They play it up though, like he's a relic in this movie specifically.
Yeah, well, because the Cold War was over.
Well,
this is the last one they did where the Russians were still the bad guys.
Well, with Daniel Craig, they kind of tried to end that whole thing about him because
Yeah.
the
Well, there
first
was
movie he fell in love and tried to get away, and then they
and
killed
that
him.
was a big part of his character
Yeah.
in the second one and third.
Made him
Yeah,
dead
because
inside.
He was still
wanted to
mourning.
step away.
Yeah, he was mourning the loss of the woman that he actually fell in love with.
Which I mean, that's pretty cool though. Like a lot of people bitch about changing something, you know, changing
Oh,
the
and
thing
I
that's always been.
I could add this also with that as well. They changed. So the Bond movies have always been criticized for not just the misogyny, but for hiring very young actresses to be Bond girls and stuff like that. And one of the girls in Spectre was Monica Bellucci, and she was like 53 when she played.
she was the
Oh,
oldest.
wow.
I believe she holds the
Yeah,
record
she
for
was
the oldest Bond girl.
And hot. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
she was the old.
Jesus.
I remember that she was the oldest Bond
Yeah, it
girl
was Monica
to date.
Bellucci.
Who? Yeah,
They asked her, they're like, "How do you feel being old?" She's like, "I don't know. I don't feel
How
any
you
way
feel?
about it."
Are the
Yeah.
checks still coming? Let's go.
One thing about Bond, he's a womanizer. Over the course of 24 films, it's roughly he has had sex with 350 women
On film?
Jeez.
over the course of all the movies.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's
Either, like,
2 or
implied or-
more
yeah.
in one film.
Right.
Yeah, it's usually 2.
Yeah, he
usually
usually
2 or
has
3.
one, and then he fucks one that ends up being a bad
Usually-
guy.
Yeah, well, they
Yeah.
usually, but it starts with the bad one. He hooks up with them, she betrays him, and then he eventually connects with the good one.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they fight the thing together, and
Right. Because usually, except for one, I believe it was The World Will Never End or Tomorrow. It was one of the Brosnan ones.
The world's not
enough.
enough.
He-
the one with
he shoots-
Denise.
Yeah. Denise
Or he
Richards.
hooks up with one and they die. That's the other thing.
Well, one of the ones that he fucks and then finds out she's bad. She's laying in bed. He has her at gunpoint, point blank range, and he tells her to call off her goons, and she agrees. But then she goes, "Kill him!" And he just point blank shoots unarmed woman laying in bed at point blank range. And very,
Oh no, that wasn't that. That was
very coldly. It's the day after
that was
tomorrow. or
Tomorrow
whatever.
Never Dies.
Tomorrow
Never
Never
Dies.
Dies.
And that was Terry Hatcher, I think.
No. Well, Terry Hatcher was the one that ended up being good,
Oh, okay, yeah, the other one.
but he shoots. It was
I
very
love that
cold blooded.
That one was the direct sequel to Goldeneye,
Yeah.
and I
Tomorrow
really,
Never Dies, yeah.
I really loved that one. That was the one I saw when I was a little older than Goldeneye, and I could actually really appreciate it.
A lot of actresses got their start as being Bond girls, though. That was like a big thing. If you got cast as a Bond
Yeah,
girl,
you were in.
Who?
Kim Basinger.
Oh, really?
Oh God.
Oh wait, we're missing how Femke kills people.
Yeah. This is how she.
Y'all remember seeing this when you were a kid, and you're like, "Oh, word."
Yeah, it kind
Her
of blew my
moaning
mind.
and stuff.
It made my pee-pee tingle.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, wow! I don't understand what's going on."
She sells it because she's not faking. She's enjoying it.
Well, she's like beating the shit out of him.
That's how she gets off. Yeah.
Yeah, scratching him,
You don't know you're about to die.
biting him real hard.
She can't get off if the guy doesn't die in the end.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it is. Yeah.
Oh my God.
The shadow play.
I can't breathe.
How would you work out your legs in order to do that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, she's strong.
That's well above the Jane
Well, this
Fondas.
is also one of those things. When you see a guy that looks like that with a girl that looks like her,
Something's not
it's like
right.
you know he's gonna die. Yeah.
Or his
She's
fucking
obviously with this guy to get information or get him out of the way or whatever.
So I want to do a little exercise real quick now that we're kind of like hitting a sort of a lull. Which Bond would you be, Tim? If you were a Bond, not your favorite. Actually, you know
Wait,
what?
what do you mean? What do you mean?
I
Like,
mean-
from which movie?
No,
which
I mean
actor?
I mean, all right. So tell me your favorite Bond. Like, which one was your favorite, and maybe like a 2-sentence about why they're your favorite, and then tell me which one you think that you relate the most to, or which one you would like to be. Either one.
Well, it's hard. I mean, it's to me, and this may be kind of stupid to some people because a lot of people shoot to Sean Connery. It would be Pierce Brosnan or Daniel Craig. Pierce Brosnan looks the part more. He's very more, flashy. Daniel Craig, they really changed up his character.
Yeah,
He was the most realistic Bond. is Daniel Craig.
he
Right,
was
he's
more.
the
He
least
was more
Bond, yeah.
brutish. He was a brawler, almost instead of like a smooth talker that would talk him way out of situations.
Well, they
He
also
just-
revealed more. He
had more emotions, but they were hidden.
They were more serious films too.
Yeah.
Because Pierce Brosnan, as these went on, they got so outlandish and so over the top.
It still had that 60s camp.
Yeah, that's the standard Bond, right?
The gadgets and oh well, you think he's backed into a corner, but he's got this bomb on his belt that he throw, whatever. They just got.
I mean, I would like to say this movie was probably the beginning of the more raw.
It had,
but then as Pierce Brosnan's went on,
I mean, I know it
got,
gets crazier.
it
but
returned.
You remember him windsurfing on the
I do on the
snow
on
and
the tsunami.
The
it was on tsunami.
CGI was so horrible.
So-
I mean,
so which-
that's why they did the reboot.
So
And
which one was your favorite? It's hard, but I know you.
This
I know
is
you can
probably
do
the
it.
only Brosnan one that I liked at all. Is his? Except for Quantum of Solace, I like all the Daniel Craig ones. They are more serious in tone.
Electronic battlefield.
But who I think I am most like, or who I would wish I was most
Just your
like.
favorite Bond first, and then which Bond you think you'd be if you were a 007.
I mean, right off the top, I would say my favorite is honestly Daniel Craig now, but I like Pierce Brosnan's. I'm not even necessarily swagger, but
Oh, he was definitely swagalicious.
he knows how to talk to the ladies. Yeah, I mean,
He got that swagoo.
he still was. Yeah, so yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'd have to say, yeah, Pierce.
So your favorite's Craig, and the one you relate to is Pierce. What about you? What about you, Courville? Who's your favorite?
I'm gonna go Connery.
Connor's favorite?
I'm gonna go
Understandably.
Connery.
Welcome the pilots.
Yeah, and who would you relate to?
I'm gonna go Connery. I'm
Damn.
George Lazenby.
You relate to Connery?
I don't relate to any of the Bonds.
He had exactly. Like,
you know,
I don't,
Not at all.
No,
I can't.
but like when you were growing up as a kid, the one when you were watching it or whatever, you're like, I want to be just like this guy. Like
it
who
was definitely Connery. Then,
That's
yeah.
cool.
That's the one.
That's a good.
I grew up
yeah.
with all those.
I think Roger Moore gets shit
I mean, you
on
kinda,
too much.
like,
He had some
He
really
does
cool-
get shit on too much.
Yeah.
He's not a
Yeah.
bad Bond, but he's not an amazing
That's
Bond
when they
either.
introduced Jaws, which was the iconic. He was the only repeat villain that was
Yeah.
in more than
Well,
one Bond
yeah.
film. Whatever that actor's name was, he was in Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, I don't remember it. All right,
Yeah.
all right, Zach. I like this better than that round table appreciation. Zach, who's your favorite Bond, and which one would you want to be?
Man, it's hard to say favorite, right? Because
Yeah, so many.
well, it's not even that like this. That's the hard thing to say about it, is because they've been making these movies since the '60s. It's not even that. It's the actors can be good or bad. They are ranked from best to worst. All these things, but like the vibe and the feel and everything behind the movies changed throughout all that time. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
as far as my favorite, I have to go with Sean Connery because I love old movies. I love the old spy films, and he kind of set his character in that type of movie kind of set the standard for these kind of things. Like, it's just that campy. Like, I love that old style, so I'll have to go with Sean Connery. The one that I was probably most like, probably Roger Moore, because at least he got a chance, right?
Yeah.
He tried.
That's
And
very
there's,
honest. That's
definitely
very
tried.
honest.
Mr. Alan Cumming in a very small role.
I would like to be Daniel Craig. I would like to think. I
Yeah,
would be
we all
Daniel
wish we
Craig,
could be Daniel Craig. Yeah.
but I'm Roger Moore.
I mean, what was it? Quantum of Solace, where they flipped the Dr. No thing. It was
Yeah.
what was her name that came out of that famous shot where she comes out of the water on the beach? It was
Halle
Sean
Berry?
Connery.
That was
no,
in-
well,
that
they
was
did
in-
it with Halle Berry too.
That was
Yeah.
that was in Casino Royale.
No.
But
Okay,
no,
well,
I
was
know
it
what
the
you're
first
talking
time the woman? It was
She's the most famous-
Angela Andress
Most
or
famous
Andress.
Bond girl.
I don't.
Yeah.
The one in the white bikini.
She's
I
got the
remember,
knife
yeah.
on her hip,
Mhm,
and
yeah.
that was like, and then they
It was a
redid
diving
it.
knife.
They redid it with Halle Berry, and then they redid it. They
With-
flipped it.
they flipped it with
Daniel
Angela.
Craig.
Oh,
That
yeah.
scene where Daniel
Yeah.
Craig comes out
Honey
of the
Rider.
water.
Honey Rider's the
He was jacked.
Ursula
fucking buff.
Andress.
Ursula Andress. Yeah.
Quantum of Solace actually like suffered from the whole writer strike.
It was bad.
It did.
But you know
It
one
did.
thing.
It was
though,
all right though.
One
Bad,
thing
bad
though, I
movie.
don't really.
You've hacked into the U.S. Department?
I did say that what's his name Hiddleston would have to buff up for it, but like the
He
thing
is buff, actually.
I don't think.
If
I don't
you ever
think
see with his shirt
as-
off, he is
yeah,
buff
I know
already.
he is, but I don't think.
Bond's not supposed to be.
Well,
too
that's what I'm
jacked.
saying. Is like
Right.
he's a spy. Daniel Craig, as big and buff as he is cool, but I don't think it's as accurate as like Pierce Brosnan.
Right.
Yeah.
Because spies, you don't want to stand out as being like that guy. Is
You're like,
jacked.
because you'd be in the room, you're like, yeah, that's the spy
and
right
it's not
there.
about brute force, even though Bond is all about
Yeah.
brute force. It's about smarts,
his
intelligence.
gadgets and cleverness and yeah.
No way, I
Well, since nobody asked me in my own game, probably my favorite Bond is
Okay.
shit. It is so hard. It is, you're right, Zach. It is so hard.
It's not the
I figured when you had started this, you had something loaded
No,
up.
I
right?
really didn't. I was hoping to hear y'all's. So my favorite my favorite Bond if I was looking through the rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia, would be Pierce Brosnan, because I think he encapsulates
I think he's the most accurate.
Bond the most.
I really do, yeah.
But because of the movies that they're in and his performance, I would say Daniel Craig. The Bond that I relate to the most, and who I think I would be the most like, is actually Timothy Dalton.
Really?
He's very reserved. He's reserved, and he didn't make attachments at all, which and he wasn't. And he was like he was the least one-liney and all that, and he just like straight up killed people. He
He was
just
pretty
fucking
brutal.
jacked people.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, in License to Kill, he sets the dude on fire. Like,
No, I mean,
while
like,
he's sitting there. I mean, it's one of the most brutal kills.
and
ever.
I'll go on the record as saying that I think that the most unappreciated Bond is Timothy Dalton. I think he was great. I wish he would have done more.
Well, he looked the
Yeah.
part really well too.
He did. He was very dashing and very like rugged.
But then,
And I think I think my least favorite Bond of all time is Roger Moore. I hate Roger Moore. And I think the most
Why do you hate him so much?
because he's fucking corny and he looks like he doesn't
that's
look.
when they got really cheesy.
It's 'cause
with the
it's- they
did,
gadgets
they did.
It's
stuff.
and it's also
But,
because of his look
they
and
were
his
out of
acting and
space.
everything.
See, and
he's
just-
not James Bond. He's like somebody's
But,
dad.
but you're right though. Just and
Like,
just like
he's
what
like-
I,
he's
just
like your
what I
neighbor.
said, how the vibe of it has changed and adapted through the years. It's become more realistic. All these things. You're right though, because
I don't-
Well,
Yeah.
didn't Roger Moore play
There-
him more than anybody
there
else?
still
Yeah, I
is
think
there
so.
still is a thing to being Bond. You have to be cool, and Roger
Yeah.
Moore just wasn't.
He wasn't cool. He was like somebody's
He was
dad.
he was your girlfriend's dad.
and
Yeah.
I didn't see him like anytime he would be
You
smashing.
don't look at that guy and think of him as
I was like,
being,
dude, you can't smash. Every
Yeah.
time he was, I was a kid. I was like 12, and I was like, man, this guy can't smash. He can't get
he
nothing.
looks like the type that slides in the DMs all the time.
There,
you know?
there
It's
is. There's only one
And not
good
in a
film
good
that
way.
he did was A View to a Kill. That's
So
only one he did was good.
the big secret Russian spy base requires you to say your name in English
Oh my god!
to get in the building. He's speaking English.
I'm Peter, not Petra.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet that there are more people in Russia who speak Russian and English than there are.
Well, especially
people in
that's probably due to
America
the
who
Cold
speak more
War.
than English.
They need
best- hey,
code breakers and
You best speak American. You heard?
Yeah.
And it's really hard for
It's
us to
all due
learn
to the
Russian.
Cold-
It's such a hard language. It's got like 52 letters in the alphabet. It's fucking ridiculous.
It's based on a different. It comes from a different.
It's
branch of the
ridiculous.
tree, right?
Yeah.
It's not Latin. It's more Germanic.
I think it's
No.
language is still so intriguing to me that there's so many different languages spoken all over the world, but they can be interpreted into the same thing. That's what
Well,
you know what I mean. Like, there's loss in translation, but that's just very that humans can have hundreds and different languages, but you can still understand. You know, it's
So,
broken
yeah.
down, but I mean, you know what I
If
mean.
you
I
look at-
think
yeah.
that's very intriguing.
But the funny thing is like English is one of the hardest languages in the world.
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not as hard as
Because
Russian.
because it doesn't.
Russian and Japanese
no,
and English.
Russian is probably a little. Well, Japanese is harder too. but-
Japanese is, I would say, 4 times
But,
harder
well,
than
the
English.
thing is that Japanese and Chinese and Mandarin and all that
Mandarin.
it actually has a structure to it. Not so much the
See,
Asian language,
she's getting off to that.
but
getting
English
excited.
doesn't make any sense.
She's so wet right now.
Makes
The
more
rules
sense in
the
Russian.
rules are so scattered that
Yeah.
it's
Man, Femke's like
Look at that. He's like
what the
weirdo.
hell?
Like,
What's up, girl?
Xenia only like gets off when she's killing people.
violence gets her off, man. Yep.
Hey, I'm gonna go get another drink. Does anybody want anything?
I'll take a beer.
Okay.
I'm good on my water.
All right. You want
I'm drinking water tonight, you guys.
You want to put this
4
ginger
years
ale
ago,
back? You wanna
opium.
You want to put this back in the fridge?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll put it back in the fridge.
Somebody should go in and CG animate a bunch of like paintball blotches all over the place in honor of the video
Man,
game.
I'm just thinking it's so funny to me that I don't really have much memory of this movie, but I remember the characters
Oh yeah.
and the
The
scenes,
set pieces.
yeah, from the game so well. Like I don't know their names, I don't know everything about it.
This
but,
was
like,
a level from the game too. You had to go
Yeah.
into this room and kill off.
that room was a kill zone.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the multiplayer
They
map.
swarmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the multiplayer map, that was danger zone because there's levels and corners to hide in.
Throw proximity mines all over the place. Look at that! Like this big giant killer satellite took 3 button presses for
Was
her
this
to
supposed to be
activate.
Earth?
Yeah, it's. Oh wait, this isn't the one. It's not like it's kind of like an EMP is what they're doing. They can shut down everything, and then they can come in and fuck everybody up.
Go ahead and say you didn't do a blockbuster until we did Independence Day.
Time is 19 minutes.
This is a blockbuster. This is a massive
I mean,
hit.
yeah,
This is a
well,
huge
like,
hit.
6 year hiatus until this film came out. It was the
It was a
longest hiatus of any Bond.
Very
And it
big
was
deal.
massively
Introduction-
successful.
Introduction of Pierce Brosnan. You know, they almost
Look up what other things Martin Campbell did, the director.
I
because
can tell you. I can tell you right now.
They say,
He,
didn't he do The Long Kiss Goodnight? No, that was Rennie Harlan.
Martin Campbell also did Casino Royale.
Casino Royale, yeah. And The Mask of Zorro, The
And
Legend
The Mask of Zorro. Oh, so
and Green Lantern.
So listen, here's a tie-in.
And then nothing after that, probably.
Here's a tie-in.
He did The Foreigner starring Jackie Chan, a new movie.
So here's a tie-in to all of this. That actually felt like a James Bond movie. It was pretty good. So this is another first, too, because Martin Campbell is the first non-Briton director of any James Bond movie. He's from New Zealand. And he came back on Casino Royale. He also directed Mask of Zorro, like Zach said. And the thing about Trevelyan is
So
that
he did the Daniel Craig Casino Royale, because then Sam Mendes picked it up after that. He did
the
Quantum and Skyfall.
Yeah. No, but it was Martin Campbell first.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
And also, so when he did Mask of Zorro, he finally got to do something he wanted. Whenever he directed this movie, he wanted Sean Bean wasn't supposed to be Trevelyan at first.
Yeah, he tried out for Bond.
It's kind of cool that they let him kick off the two Bonds that we've had.
So they tried to get Anthony.
Professional assignment.
Sean Bean.
So Martin Campbell wanted Anthony Hopkins because the 006 character, he wanted to be older and more of a mentor. So there's like a betrayal,
like what happens in Mask of Zorro.
And he refused it, and then he finally got his wish when he did Mask of Zorro, and he got Anthony Hopkins to be the original Zorro.
Yeah. Sean, I remember now that you said that.
awesome.
Yeah, I remember Sean Bean tried out to be Bond, but they turned him down. and They said you'd be better as the villain.
Anthony Hopkins is
Plus,
the best.
they already knew that they wanted Pierce Brosnan.
Have y'all been watching Westworld?
I'm behind this.
I'm not caught up. Don't tell us
Dude,
anything.
no, I ain't telling you. I finished it the other night.
I know Anthony Hopkins
Is
dead.
it already done? It's already over.
The second season's over. Yeah.
I watched the first 5.
Well, let's
5 to 6
add
is
two off
amazing.
track. But
thank you. Thank you
our
for getting us
listeners,
back on
if you
track.
do not watch
So
Westworld, fucking watch
watch
Westworld. It's
It's
amazing.
a mind fuck.
I mean, yeah, it's so trip.
So many times.
Are we
this
approaching
is-
the gadget scene?
Yeah, we're getting there. He's finally at MI6. We're about to meet the new M.
What do y'all think of the new Q?
I like him.
Well, when the young kid. Well, okay, when the guy that plays Q in this, whatever the actor's name is, played Q in every single
He was
Bond
the
movie.
only one that didn't get replaced.
But then he passed away.
Desmond Llewellyn.
He passed away, and I can't remember which one he passed away, and they replaced him with John Cleese.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought was great.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was great that they replaced him with John Cleese, but R.I.P. He did pass away, and that's the only reason they recast him.
Yeah.
I love John Cleese.
He was very old.
I
love
think John Cleese was just a perfect choice.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah. Because the big thing about Q is the interplay. Like,
Don't destroy
their
this
banter.
one.
the important
Yeah.
scene.
Bring it back.
This
in one
scene that
piece,
happens in every
please.
Bond movie.
You're waiting for the gadget
But the
scene.
shitty thing is in the Daniel Craig ones, they kind of don't do that.
Well, they did that. They didn't do it on
kind of-
purpose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's kind of a
In
joke.
They're
Casino
trying to-
Royale, because they didn't introduce the new Q until Skyfall.
And then
So they
in the
did
next
two
movie
of
they're
them.
kind of rogue
Yeah.
in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't. They specifically shied away from all the gadgets in the first two to differentiate.
These pictures live.
Yeah, he was like, what is this? It's a transmitter. What else does it do?
But at least
it
they-
became a thing where you're
they
just
kept
sitting
the
there
interplay.
waiting for the scene
They
where
kept
you see all the
interplay,
cool.
like
yeah.
the back and forth that they
Because
have.
he doesn't really trust him, and he's so much younger, and it changed the dynamic. Because Q usually was always much older, so
It's
they
like, please don't be an
they
ass.
flipped
Yeah. Almost blowing up the whole shop and all stuff like that.
yeah.
So that's Natalia.
like a
Natalia's
video
like
game.
hiding out.
That's
She's the
not
only,
bad effects right there for '95.
She's the only person left in this satellite station in
But
Russia.
now watch this. This is so cheesy, or not necessarily cheesy, but just ridiculousness.
There's dead people everywhere.
There should have been.
The
Should
alarm
have been
still
gone.
worked.
Is that what you're gonna say?
The alarm still works.
I was gonna say should have been gone.
Yeah, you should have been gone, girl.
Oh, they're about to blow her up.
But look
so
where
it-
she hides.
Under a desk? Like you're supposed to?
Damn.
Well, I mean,
it's like
I guess they don't show her.
It's an EMP
Yeah,
blast.
it's an EMP.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Knock out all your enemies' defenses, and
That's pretty interesting.
this is the first movie I ever remember hearing that term EMP.
Right.
So why does it make everything explode?
Because it's more cinematic.
So she hides. she hides under that staircase.
Well, they have a nuclear heating system. so-
It's individually blowing up those television screens. It would just make everything go dark. It wouldn't.
Yeah,
all
it would just everything would die.
It wouldn't all go
the
explode.
power would go out.
It's
Yeah.
probably a fun scene to film.
But like you said, it was the first time you ever heard EMP. So
Yeah. So nobody knew what the fuck that was. I think they even have to spell it out and explain it
Plot
to the
devices,
audience.
you know.
Yeah.
nowadays you can't.
And there wouldn't be all that electricity.
Yeah, see that's the thing is like nowadays you can't do an EMP scene where everything fritzes out because
we know what it is
We kind of
now.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just kills the power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is all on guessing.
It's fucking. It's just arcing. There's
Yeah,
just there's
but
this
it's-
electricity arcing everywhere,
Just, yeah.
and the jet's going upside.
You can
It's
tell
just-
those. They
yeah,
could tell those
right.
were
That did not hold up.
maquettes.
Yeah, that did not hold
Like
up.
I don't think the
Those
jet
were
would
all
be going
miniatures.
slow enough and still stay in the air.
and still be upside down.
That should have been going like
it would just
500
be,
miles
it'd
per
be
hour.
spinning
It
out
would
of
just
control.
hit the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
God, that contractor was lazy.
You ain't James Bond. How'd that work?
I have a feeling she's going to be important
I just
later
heard one
on.
of the exact same sound effects from Aliens. That metal creaking there.
Oh, the
from the very
the
end.
groan. Metal
What was the
groan.
movie that we did with they copied the noise from the velociraptors in Jurassic Park?
I don't know. The Jurassic Park velociraptors were probably copied from something we watched.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know, but
It happens a lot. And then there's of course the Wilhelm scream, that famous
Yeah.
that's used in a million.
if I
movies.
ever was a director in charge of a movie and somebody tried to sneak that in, I would fucking kill them.
Oh, I would make
I
sure
like
it
it.
got.
That's
would-
only
yeah.
it's only stayed alive because
I would
of
make sure it
people
got
like
in
you.
too. It's a meme at this point.
It is.
It's
And
an
you
iconic.
You don't like memes, Zach?
I mean, yeah, but it's like it's a wink and a nudge kind of bullshit.
It's kind of
Like,
a
come
break
on.
in the fourth wall. It kind of can pull you out of the movie.
It's
I
like,
guess.
yeah, you make movies, you know about movie stuff. Oh, okay, like I
I
get it.
didn't know you were so against memes, Zach.
I'm not
There's
against
certain
memes.
directors that make sure they sneak it into every
I just
single
think,
one of
I
their
think
films.
it's silly though. That's just
It is silly.
Yeah,
I mean, I like the
get it.
history of it. I love the history.
They
of
might
it.
as well do it and then look at the screen and wink after doing
right.
it.
It's. I
know-
got it before, but now it's just kind of like, come on.
You're not gonna put the almond break in something in a drum beat because it's overdone.
I don't know. Don't make music. I just make it sound good.
I
Or try- I try to make it sound-
snap.
I try to make it sound.
All I know is
So she couldn't get out,
should've
and then
been gone.
that conveniently fell through. So now she has something to climb up and get out of.
She couldn't get out!
Well, like I said earlier, I think she might be important later on. Is that going to replace I Am Reba? Should have been gone.
Maybe we haven't done anything like that in a while.
We replaced it with something afterwards. I can't remember what though, but it only went like 1 or 2 episodes. At the time about the convenience. Oh, that crashed through, and I can conveniently climb up it, but now I'm stranded out here. Why is she still calling out for Boris?
Our satellite is not.
I'm glad that she's.
Oh, okay. No,
in a-
Boris. That
in a-
reminds me. Okay, something tie-in. We were talking about these things, and I said earlier, like Schwarzenegger with all the one-liners.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
everything. Bond was the king of the one-liners. True Lies.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
opening scene where he comes out of the water and he takes off the swimsuit thing, and he has the tuxedo underneath.
Underneath, yeah.
Dude, he
then
even has cologne. If you remember,
Yeah,
like,
he sprays
puts
cologne
that,
on
He puts
himself.
that shit on. He's
Yeah.
like, pop, pops that shit on his
he was,
cheeks.
He was James Bond, and he goes in, and he sneaks into the thing and does the waltz with what's her name,
Electromagnetic pulse, the first strike satellite.
Tia Carrera.
The Americans.
Cassandra?
Yeah. But she just said Boris, though, that famous line when they say they're going to bring Jamie Lee Curtis in.
That was the password?
We're going
Or
to make
no.
we're going to make you work for you, but we have to give you a secret name. He goes, your contact's name will be Boris, and your name? And she goes, Natasha. And I say, no, Doris. Boris and Natasha, Rocky
Right,
and Bull,
right, right,
Rocky
of course,
and
yeah.
Bullwinkle.
Moose and Squirrel.
Moose and Squirrel.
This be an accident?
No. The helicopter.
Our younger viewers will not
They
get the
have no idea.
Rocky and Bullwinkle reference.
I have no idea.
I would like. I'm willing to bet that the youngest viewer that we have is probably above the age of 25.
You think so? I don't know.
know.
I don't know.
Maybe.
You just don't walk in.
No, Hannah listens. She's below 25.
That's true.
Use the access codes.
Who?
We'll have to test it on her
Hannah.
next time we see her.
Oh, really? Is she?
If y'all remember, test it on Hannah. We'll see. If
I just always figured that Hannah was old as shit. I mean, I guess it's not the.
She
it's
does
Not,
look-
it's
she
not
look-
the years; it's the mileage.
I know.
She's-
She looks
she's
really
an old
worn
soul,
down.
man.
Oh
She's-
my god.
That's kind of like I love you, Hannah. She knows.
I mean, I called you.
She's not here to
perpetually
defend
30.
her. She's not here to
So.
defend herself. So that's what I'll do.
Relentless.
Probably knows her.
And it's kind of like Bond. Indiana Jones was kind of like a Bond character, but far more
It's
rugged.
archetypal.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely, yeah.
I don't think so. I wouldn't compare them. Kind of.
No, not necessarily comparing, but they did at one point want to do
crossover?
Indiana Jones like James Bond. They considered like if
Replacing him?
Yeah, replacing him as years went on.
I like Indiana Jones as a character more because he's more.
He's an everyman,
He's more like he's a badass.
What do you mean he's
obviously,
an everyman?
but he gets his ass kicked.
He's a
not
doctor.
well, no, he's
archaeologist,
he's more of the bumbling
fighter.
hero.
Right,
I like
like
that more. Like,
everyman.
He gets his ass kicked all the time. He's not James Bond. Because,
but he is a badass because he puts himself in those crazy situations.
Well,
but his drive is this belongs in a museum.
Yeah.
You know, not I need to be a secret agent.
and get laid. Yeah.
Those are only confirmed.
There's another shit with Indiana Jones, like because he is the everyman. He's kind of like the anti-Bond, I guess.
I don't think he's the everyman though. I contend that.
Well, not the everyman because obviously we're not all archaeologists, but the fact that he gets in situations and he doesn't win every fight.
That's like saying that's
No,
like
it's
saying
not
Brandon
everyman
Fraser
isn't
in
the
The
right
Mummy
word.
is everyman.
Yeah, I guess, but like, okay, for instance, Bond in all of his films has been shot at 4,660 something times, roughly around that.
Yeah.
He's been never wounded. Indiana
he's been wounded.
Until Daniel Craig.
well, ironically,
Right.
the one time he has ever really been wounded by a bullet and actually had to deal with it was
was
Skyfall,
Skyfall, yeah.
when it was friendly fire and he got shot
Yeah,
by a
yeah.
fellow agent. The
That's
only
right.
person that's ever actually been able to wound James Bond with a bullet was one of his fellow
That was
agents,
by Moneypenny too.
which is a very funny, ironic little thing. I mean, all the times he's been shot at, I should say, and bullets just seem to miss
Yeah,
him.
but I mean, there's
He's
just,
been punched in the face a lot.
I don't
though.
know. I don't know what the word is that connects them. Why they are kind of similar. But the thing is, like Bond is like he's trained. He's a trained agent. This is what he's trained for. The thing about Indiana Jones
is not.
is
Point taken.
he's good at being the badass that he is, but he's not. You know,
But he's
he
just a
pursues
professor.
that.
At the end of the day, he's a professor.
Yeah, he pursues that. Like that.
I guess that might be the everyday. That might be like the everyman aspect you're talking about. But I don't see him being everyman at all.
their drives are different. They have a different.
Oh yeah, they have totally different motivation. Yeah.
I want you to find Goldeneye. Find who took it, what they...
Maybe you know who's more of an every
That's another
everyman.
thing with casting. Tom Selleck was originally going to be Indiana Jones.
Really?
They did test screenings and stuff with him in the outfit and everything. If you search long enough, you can find him in the jacket and everything. And I was just, but it was another
Tom
thing.
Selleck.
Yeah, but he couldn't do it because of Magnum PI.
Bond?
Same reason Pierce Brosnan couldn't do Bond the first time they approached him is because he was contractually obligated to do
Remington
Steel. They wanted Tom Selleck, but he had to turn it down because he was doing Magnum PI.
Yeah.
And thank God, because I think we really would have missed out on one of Harrison Ford's obviously most iconic characters he ever played. Plus, he's
agree.
just one of my favorite actors of all time.
I do love how
Tom
much.
Selleck.
Harrison Ford.
It's kind of like loving Neil Diamond. I think in a sense.
I know Harrison Ford, of course.
I love how much Russia they really just like drive this whole theme home where the USSR has already dissolved.
Soviet
and everything,
Union's
and,
already, yeah.
and they bring it back a lot. Like, Judi Dench is like, you're a relic left
You're a
over from
relic of the Cold War. Yeah.
This
we
is,
don't
I mean,
need
this,
you.
Like I said in the beginning, this is the first Bond to come out after the end of the Cold, and they built a lot of the bases around. But like I also said, it's the only movie that they've done that wasn't based on any of Ian Fleming's books. Like this is a completely separate
They
story.
had artistic freedom a little bit.
Yeah.
And they slowly moved out of it. Because if you watch action movies in the 80s, almost 100% of the time, Rocky IV being a grand example, the bad guys were always Russians.
Sure,
Because we were dealing with the
He
Cold
does,
War
he
and
does.
everything. Things shifted in the 90s and they became terrorists. It was always
right.
Iraq or whatever,
Lone
Or even
wolf
like
kinda
the
thing.
IRA or
I mean, True Lies. All these movies that, they switched from always being the Russians, the bad guys, to
And what of the two missing
Middle Eastern was the new thing.
or like Eastern Europeans were
It was
huge.
like,
or
as close as Russia as you
right,
can get.
or the IRA. They use that in a lot too.
whose body was not among the dead?
Another Sean Bean, Harrison Ford,
it's-
Patriot Games.
I was looking.
Right.
I was
the
I brought up
IRA and all
I brought
that.
up Pierce Brosnan's Wikipedia page just to kind of look into it a little bit, and James Bond, I guess, was such an important role for his career that's the sections that they have. It's James Bond and then post James Bond.
Well, pre-James Bond was...
Really? That's how they...
Yeah, they
Pre-James
separated
Bond
like
was
that.
Mrs. Doubtfire, right? Wasn't that...
Oh, he was he was definitely in that. He was allergic to pepper.
That was like 94 or something, probably.
93, I
So the
think.
only movies that he did before that was Lawnmower Man. That's kind of...
Yeah,
he was in
I,
Mamma
I love that movie.
He was in Mamma Mia after.
The
that would be post James Bond.
You know a movie he did the
He
year
was
after?
Doubtfire.
I'm a big ABBA fan.
Mars Attacks.
That's right.
He was on Mars
him and
Attacks.
Sarah Jessica Parker. They got their heads removed.
Now he did
Oh,
another
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
He did another movie I'd like to do is Dante's Peak
Oh, yeah.
because that movie
if
is
we-
terrible.
We've talked about
It
Mars
sounds
Attacks,
like
too.
a porn, dude.
If we do Dante's Peak, we would have to do a double feature with Volcano.
Yeah, the disaster movies that came out in the same month.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Tommy Lee Jones. Well, yeah, that was Pierce Brosnan and Linda Hamilton,
right,
who
but
was Sarah Connor in
Dante's
the
Peak.
Terminator films.
Dante's Peak was the it was the deep impact of the two to Volcano's.
Right.
Right.
Armageddon.
Volcano was the big deal.
That was the Armageddon. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that happens all the time, and one always
I've never
dwarfs the other.
No, I thought it was the opposite. I thought Dante's Peak was a lot bigger than Volcano.
No, it
because
wasn't.
I've never even heard of Volcano.
No, Volcano
Tommy
was
Lee
the bigger
Jones.
one.
They find Anne Heche.
Yeah.
Anne Heche was the romantic interest to Tommy Lee Jones.
Volcano
if you can
was a lot
imagine that.
bigger.
It's weird.
That was the one where they find out there's actually Los
was-
Angeles is sitting on top of a
So that was
volcano.
yeah. So L.A. became it was kind of like a.
I don't think so
I think so. Dante's Peak was more of like a Mount St. Helens type of thing.
because I've
Right.
never heard of Volcano, but I know about Dante's Peak.
Until this moment, you never heard that movie, Volcano?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean,
Dante's Peak definitely
I am
came
younger
after.
than you also.
and you also like Deep Impact better than Armageddon, right?
Yeah, there's Deep Impact, Armageddon. There's several instances of that.
Yeah, there's definitely
It's
a
a
difference
phenomenon.
in how they did in the theater.
That's a phenomenon that actually usually happens.
Well, because when one studio finds out another studio is making something, they'll rush something similar, and even if it's not as good as the other one, as long as it
Right.
gets to theaters first, it steals the thunder.
Well, why didn't they do another tornado movie after Twister?
it might have been. I don't know.
I mean, sure there was, but it didn't.
No,
there was five-
Twisters.
there was five of them.
Twisters was another one that came out around the same time.
There was
I think.
5 of them. They're called Sharknado. Chris.
Okay.
No, there was another tornado movie that came out around the same time. I think it was called Twister.
So I'm gonna get back to this right now. We're in the gadget section.
Here's the big famous gadget
with
scene.
Q. He's showing them all the different things. That was a very explosive pin.
He should have
live
ran a little
ammunition in a room where there's other people.
Yeah, see that guy is unfazed though. He's just still talking on the phone. You know?
Yeah, he's like, oh, whatever, just another
like,
day
oh, this-
here.
this
in
guy
the
does this shit all the
R&D
time.
department.
Never mind. I was proven wrong.
Trying to turn some of this equipment
Then this is
in order. Don't touch that. It's my lunch.
Oh, the subtitles gave the joke away.
yeah. Like Bond was looking at the sandwich, like, so what does this do?
I think that part is in a lot of James Bond movies.
Yeah,
It's like, what? So what is this? Some kind of special grenade? It's like, no,
it's
that's
just a fucking pin.
a fucking.
So
thing,
you hear all the sound effects and the music and all that. That was like definitely right out of the video. Well, in the video game, it's right out of the movie, but I thought it was really cool.
This guy's been in a lot of
boom,
things
boom.
too. This
I mean-
guy's one of those. Oh, that guy's been in everything. Wasn't he the? No, he wasn't the dad in Gremlins.
Wouldn't you say that Goldeneye is probably the only video game
No,
that's
he
been
wasn't.
successfully done
I would
with a
say
movie?
so. I would
As
say
far
so.
as a movie adaptation to game,
Obviously, it's the most successful. It has to.
yeah, by
Yeah.
far, yeah,
obviously,
for sure.
Be. So what's this guy's name?
Let's see if we can get his character.
he
name.
plays American operatives all the time. It's like I'm pretty sure he voices the American operative in Just Cause video
Robbie
games.
Coltrane.
too.
Really?
I wanna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was confusing him for the dad from Gremlins, but he's been in similar things like that.
He was Hagrid in the Harry Potter films.
All right, in London, April,
Really?
spring,
Yeah,
month,
that's
whereas
him.
in St. Petersburg, we're
And
freezing
what?
our butts off.
What'd you say?
Hagrid.
No,
in
no,
the
no,
Harry
no, no,
Potter
no,
That's not
no,
Hagrid.
no, no. You're
Can't
thinking
be.
of a guy they meet later. We haven't been introduced to
Oh,
that
isn't
actor.
there?
Yeah, that's not Hagrid.
No, yeah, I'll point that guy out. I know who you're talking about.
No.
I know who you're talking about as well. That's not him.
He's going to take him to Hagrid, basically. Hagrid's the guy that they're going to go meet.
That's the guy who's always in like a Hawaiian shirt who's like, I'll sell you guns from America.
Oh, Valentine is the guy that comes up. So this is Jack Wade, I guess.
That sounds very American, so probably.
Third wife. Jack
Yeah, how did this
Yep.
guy... How's this guy been undercover in Russia for so long with that thick
Hi,
American
man. Hey.
accent? Hey, buddy, right over here.
Hey, bro.
I'm
hey.
your liaison.
Hey, can I give me a steak real quick?
That was good.
Y'all got
Good
steak
accent.
out
His
here,
name
right?
is Joe Don Baker.
Hey, is there a place I can go to get watch a football game?
Where can I get a burger
He was in
around here?
Fletch. That's pretty much it.
Really?
much it.
I
Fletch?
recognize him from something else.
I mean, he was in the original Walking Tall, a lot of TV stuff.
That's probably what it is. He was
Lot
probably
of
just
TV
a
stuff.
grunt
Playing
working
I mean,
actor.
he's a
on-
character actor, basically.
Yeah. playing a.
Oh, he was in Congo.
But the man's connected up the gazoo.
Maybe that's
And
shit.
Mars
Why-
Attacks.
Why does shit keep going back to Congo?
It is,
I wanna
it
do
is all
Congo.
connected. It is all connected.
Bruce Campbell was in Congo at the very beginning.
One of those old Soviet missile trains.
He's the lead female's husband or boyfriend, or whatever. You watch him die at the beginning on the screen, and that's what motivates her to go to the jungle.
No, the bigger one, the sledge. Anyways,
They just cut from a scene where he's like, "This car never breaks down." That's always that, like, when a scene is like, "Don't worry, guys, I am never gonna surrender." Cut to the scene of them going, "I give up,
I surrender.
Yeah.
Wait, I gotta say though, I looked this up on the internet and it was pretty consistent, so I guess it's true. But you can buy a Lotta for $400.
I want a lot of.
I want one. They're $400 new.
you know him?
That doesn't include shipping, I don't think. But that's
They
how
still make them, and they haven't changed the design in
that's how
40
cheap.
years.
That's how cheap Lottas are. If you don't know what a Lotta is, it's like a very standard Russian car that the design has not changed from like 1970 to like 2016.
Now here's a very ridiculous scene. She just kind of came into this. Now this is 95, so this is before like internet cafes.
Well, not one of those computers are actually plugged in.
Well, it had
Yeah.
an IBM sign on the outside.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It wasn't like you can come in and, you know. So she's like, I need to buy 500 for the school or whatever. Yeah, American school.
I like that Russian that you just did.
500 meg hard
CD-ROM.
drives?
CD-ROM with, yeah.
500 megabyte hard drive, and they were probably this big.
If Madam would require a demonstration, like.
Madam requires. So she sneaks into this place that sells computers so that she can get into an extremely. Okay, well, I'll let the screen show it. Because it even puts like a notice on the screen: encryption in progress. If you're encrypting things,
Hey, what else was this guy in?
that's
Oh,
Alan
it
Cumming.
Looks very familiar. Oh, is
That's-
that the doctor?
That's Alan Cumming. He was
Tell me.
he was Nightcrawler in the X. In
That's
X-Men.
right, that's
Oh,
right,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
He
What
was
else?
in. He's a very famous openly gay actor who's done a lot of theater. Oh God,
Spy Kids.
Spy Kids. He was the villain in
Jesus.
one of the Spy Kids, which was awful. He was the villain in The Son of the Mask. He played Loki,
Oh, shit.
who
he was
Tom
in a lot
Hiddleston
of
played,
movies.
who I think should be James Bond. So there's another little
It is all connected.
little connection.
He was in a remake of the Get Carter.
Yeah,
I never knew anybody actually watched Son of the Mask.
he was
Isn't-
Nightcrawler.
Isn't
in
Nightcrawler
X2.
supposed to be gay in the comics or something? Something like that?
Iceman has now been.
Oh, yeah, that's
I-
right.
I,
You know,
I have
we
the, I have
gotta
the
ask.
issue.
We gotta ask Brian. Brian Castino
Yeah,
is the
no.
resident X-Men.
Well, so am I. I got Chris Claremont's autograph.
Shoot, I don't
I
know
got
if
his
you're as much of a.
autograph.
Well, me, if there's anybody that knows more about X-Men than me, it's Brian.
It's Brian, yeah.
Castino for sure.
Valentine operates out of building. Huh.
He knows a little stupid, obscure
Are you
shit.
sure you want to do this?
He's been collecting
Last
long.
guy who dropped in uninvited, went home air freight in very small boxes.
Some close quarters in that car.
Make sure they send me home first.
Yeah, it's just a VW Bug, I think.
His whole disguise is that hat. He's like,
That's called a Irkutsk hat. Irkutsk.
so she figured out everything she needed to know from that little IBM that she was just on.
Is that the Russian killer? Or is it the girl from the scene
That's
with the
Natalia.
EMP?
This is the good
Yeah, that's
Bond
the
girl.
good
Yeah.
girl.
That's
Natalia.
She's
cool
trying to
for us.
find Boris, who is Alan Cumming's character.
Who was definitely trying to like slide in her DMs circa 1995. Yeah,
Dude,
he
it
made,
looks like Lord Dracula is about to emerge.
He did a riddle earlier with her, and he's like, they're right in front of you, and they open very large doors, and she typed in knockers. So, yeah.
trying to slide in them DMs like.
Oh, yeah,
Like-
Dracula's
like,
definitely
No,
about
that's
to
what I'm
show
about
up.
to say. Dracula's here now?
Dracula's definitely about to
I
show
don't remember
up.
Dracula being in Goldeneye, but this is definitely...
Oh, you mean Alan Cumming shows up out of nowhere in a cathedral? Just like he did
It is
in X-Men?
Boris.
Dude, their hat game in this movie is kind of goes hard.
You gotta wear a hat in Siberia.
This is the guy that played What's-His-Face in the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, that's
That is
that's
Hagrid.
him. That's Hag. That's
That's
Hagrid.
That's Gryffindor or whatever. And there's also the very famous Bond figure, that PP7.
7.65 million.
That was
Three men I
PPK?
yeah, PPK, yeah.
Wasn't as good as the Golden Gun, though.
So how do y'all
But
pronounce?
that was
Man,
his
screw
weapon
the
of
golden gun.
choice.
How do y'all pronounce it? Do y'all pronounce it Walter or Walter?
Walter.
Walter. Yeah. Now here comes a great cameo here in a second. This woman right here singing. Mm-hmm. That is Minnie Driver,
Yes, it is.
Oh wow.
the
I never-
girlfriend from Good Will Hunting.
I never
and
noticed that.
Several other things. She reoccurring star on Will and Grace. She was Megan Mullally's.
And she's supposed to be Russian. Look at that.
Oh, the German
Tunelessly-
pronunciation is Walter.
Tuneless.
The,
Yeah,
the,
it's
that was a
the
good
subtitle
subtitle.
is tunelessly singing
Stand by your man.
because I think Bond goes,
Who's Minnie Driver?
Who's
She was the
the-
karaoke singer or whatever.
she was the girlfriend in Good Will Hunting.
Oh,
She's in the background right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's her, but I know the name.
She's a 90s babe.
A very obscure cameo.
Strangling the cat.
Who's strangling the cat?
Strangling a cat.
That's my woman.
That is Irina, my mistress.
Nobody seemed phased by that gunshot going off.
Shit. I get a gun grazed
So
past my
that's-
balls. I'm gonna be very phased.
So that guy is
That's the guy from Harry Potter.
that's Harry Potter. That's Hagrid.
What is
Absolutely.
it that brings you to my neighborhood?
And actually, I think he reprised his role in The World Is Not Enough when he was a caviar dealer, and didn't he? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. He came back. So not the next movie, but the movie after this one.
The world is
Yeah.
not enough.
He came to him for some information. Yeah.
See,
and The World Is Not Enough.
he just said, "I hear the new M is a lady." Like it would kind of make sense that whenever you change the Bond out, it's going to stay the same designation.
I guess so, yeah. That's what I've always attributed to, like,
Yeah.
that James Bond and 007 both are not names. What they are is like a code name and a designation.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same timeline.
The
I think
Daniel
it's-
Craig changed that because
Yeah, because it was like a reboot,
So-
telling the backstory kind of thing.
right, so his name actually is James Bond. They went
Yeah.
and saw his father's grave. It was James Bond, like senior. or whatever.
especially because they went
Right.
back to his household and
And so how I relate to all this is even though there's definitely a change in technology and all that, but Daniel Craig James Bond is the first James Bond.
so you could say all the ones before Daniel Craig took place on
After.
their own timelines because they were all different.
I just say
people.
they're after. I don't care what it looks like. That's how I relate to it. But I really don't care that much about the consistency.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're
I mean,
spoiled.
it was a pretty hard reboot. I mean, when they brought it back with
They did a
Daniel
really
Craig,
good job with it, though.
They made it a brand new thing. They really did.
They did, and hopefully if they continue after, like if they get Idris Elba to play, like I want to,
God,
and
I
like
would
we all
love
want
that.
that.
I would love
Hopefully
that.
they like say, okay,
Let's redo
and-
it again. Let's go a new direction.
No,
No,
I hope that they like just continue it, and I hope they're like, all right. So let's say his name's like Sam Fleming or something, right? When he goes in, hopefully he goes through like basic
To do,
training,
like, the MIB
and they're like,
thing.
all right, now your name's now James Bond, and you're 007, and he just like takes over. That's what I hope. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Proved to work for the Nazis against the Russians.
He was up for it, or at least there was a lot of rumors about people really wanting him to be
Well,
Bond.
because
and he
Craig
was-
said that he was done after the last one
Yeah,
that
he
came
did.
out,
Right.
And I guess they got him to do one more. So.
And he was so classy about it because there was a lot of racist fucks on like
Oh,
Twitter and stuff like that who were like James Bond cannot be black, right?
He
There was a
absolutely
lot of-
can.
But and then
It's
so
like the only thing I would argue against is the sex change. I would bitch about a little
I don't
bit.
think it would
But
work.
why?
yeah.
Why
I
would
don't
it?
think I don't think it would fit because it's. I mean,
It just doesn't work.
they adapt. They made the character more real with Daniel Craig, but it just doesn't fit into the same kind of
There's real
machismo swag. Like, but
Yeah.
switching race, I don't give a shit. You know?
Right.
So there is like totally real spies from like World War I, World War II who are
Oh, they're
badass
women,
females.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it wouldn't be the
They wouldn't
same thing. It
operate
would
the
be
same
complete-
way.
So,
No, it would be a different type of
Right,
movie
it's-
altogether.
you couldn't-
The same way whenever they brought Daniel Craig in and were like, hey, we're going to redo
But then,
Right.
but
Bond.
also realistically, spies are not what this person is. Like Ian Fleming wrote from his experiences because he was a spy for the British. But like most spies they're dumpy middle-aged dudes.
kind
who-
of yeah.
You know, like most spies are. They just they
Or super hot chicks.
yeah could be or they couldn't
Right.
be that good looking.
No, I'm being
like,
serious. Yeah.
They weren't spies. Generally, weren't expected to be this all-around badass. They were expected to just like kind of slip in and.
Unnoticeable, unremarkable is what they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna say Idris Elba, like he handled it with class on Twitter. What he did was he ignored all the haters, and how he responded to it was like, "I appreciate all you guys thinking I could be a good Bond, but James Bond is supposed to be handsome," and that's what he said. Like, that was a
Who
quote.
said that?
Idris Elba.
Depends
I
on
think
your
he's quite
definition
handsome.
of safe.
I do too, but that was like how classy he was. He ignored all the
Yeah.
racist shit, and that's the way he was like. He's like, "I appreciate you guys."
That's really cool.
Vote of confidence for me being a Bond, but
God, I'd love to see that.
I would too.
I think that would be cool.
Damn, this is that scene that made everybody tingle when you were 11 years old.
Is this the bad woman or the good woman?
This is the bad
This
one.
is
Bad
Femke.
woman.
This is Xenia.
So now he's gonna hook
On
up
the
with her and almost die and probably kill her, and then he'll get with the good lady later.
Oh no, it's about to get a little crunk in here.
It's about to get literally steamy.
Aaron, calm down.
I can't help myself. I don't know what's going on. I'm starting to feel tingly again.
See, I'm okay with giving it. I don't like being hurt.
Honestly,
pain
me neither.
during sex doesn't
do anything for you. Nah, me neither.
I really honestly love it when a girl's super aggressive and like
aggressive is fine.
Yeah,
she challenges me and I like that. I've never had
aggressive is fine, but like I don't choking all that stuff. Oh, give it out, but getting it just does not.
I like it. A girl
thing.
could try to choke me anytime she wants to. She's not going to be very successful, but I love it when they try.
What do you mean she's not going to be successful? You're going to defend yourself and then choke her out?
No,
Aaron's the one that does the choking.
That's exactly right. But I love it when they try. I'm being honest. Like, I do. I like a super aggressive.
What is bulliage?
Bulliage? That's like Russian for biatch. Right?
That was my guess. I mean.
Oh, yeah. Tim, you were out. You missed whenever Xenia tried to kill James Bond with her legs. Jane Fonda type.
I've had a lovely evening. You?
Well, once again, the pleasure was all yours.
And she's like defeated.
You'll understand if I don't call.
I won't lose sleep over it.
Karate!
You poured us another little shot, Tim?
Bulliage means whore.
She called him a whore?
Yeah. Oh. Shit.
Or the one that...
See, that's how hard Russian is that whore and shit are similar words.
Because the subtitles misspell it, but she actually says this word, so it actually means shit.
I worked with this Russian named Daniil in Schlumberger, and
Cheers.
I try to learn a little bit. It is the hardest language in the entire world. Cheers.
We're using Maker's Mark coasters, Jameson. You better step your game up.
If you don't send us free stuff, we're going to start wooing Maker's Mark.
I'll start bringing Maker's Mark.
Don't do that.
This is your chance. It's got a little more burn than Jameson does.
And
it's 90 proof instead of 80.
Oh yeah, that's dangerous.
So when I'm kind of like angry at work, I'll do Maker's just to remind
we don't
myself
drink at work, Tim. What are you talking about?
Bad boy.
Well, I mean,
Tim.
like that one shot at the end. If I want one good, just like
as everyone's already left. That's
yeah.
when we have our one shot of the evening.
Have we announced like where we actually are?
Hello, James.
Well, I
Tim,
care and don't care at the same
If you're
time.
excited about it, tell yeah.
Well, I just stepped out. As our listeners know, I probably shut up for 2 minutes there. It's because I stepped out to smoke a cigarette, and one of our lovely regulars from Thirsties spotted me. His name is Blake Womack, and he ran up to give me a hug. I had to stop him and tell him we were recording.
I'm busy, yeah.
Back from the dead.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, and here's the reveal. And this was a multiplayer map too. This little place that they're in right now, with all the statues.
Yeah.
Stalin and everything in the back.
This was a really hard part of
I
the
remember
campaign.
getting my ass kicked in this part of the
Does anyone still like actually own a 64 at all?
I do.
You do. Do
The
you
only
have
game-
Goldeneye?
The only 2 games that I own for it are Ocarina of Time and Goldeneye.
Beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Badass.
One thing
Why didn't I
we
bring that?
talked
That
a
should have
lot
been the
about-
prop.
Well,
Right?
one thing we talked about doing here for a while is once we get a solid internet connection, well, it really doesn't matter with Goldeneye, but eventually I'd like to start doing some Twitch streams.
Yeah, we're gonna
I'd be
do
down
some
for that.
streaming and
We can
shit.
do it. That would be a fun game to do it.
Defender of the so-called faith. Oh, please, James.
Now I step away.
As Aaron's already noticed, we could do some Mario Kart, and y'all would just watch me decimate every one of you.
Yeah.
Well, you did get first place. I was playing the really bad controller though. So
Do you remember you passed that controller to me, and I was like, I'll beat y'all with this
yeah,
controller?
but you were already like 3 out of the 4 in.
How did the
You were already in
officers
on the Grand Prix.
that your parents
Right.
But when I got that, I went from like 7th to like 4th. I did jump way up.
They knew.
We'll redo it.
We're both.
I'm sure you'll probably still own me, but
were your parents.
maybe not on Super Nintendo Mario Kart.
Climbing accident.
No, you'll probably whip my ass on Super
Mine
NES.
survived the British betrayal and started.
Somebody, I'll do another shout out. Kevin Broussard, I remember years back before he moved to Austin with Lindsay and had their beautiful baby. He bought one at a pawn shop, and we used to always go to his
64?
place. No, at the Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo.
Oh,
And
he played
that-
the Mario Kart?
We'd always go
Yeah.
play Mario Kart. He would kick everybody's
I love that
ass.
Super
Oh, he
Mario
became a
Kart.
every
pro.
time.
The
He
Super
became a
Mario
pro.
Kart was badass.
He was
dude.
unbeatable. I mean, I got to the point where I was like, I ain't playing Kevin.
Janus.
Like, there's no point. I'm not gonna win.
That's like Chris with Mortal Kombat 3. He'll fucking spam you in the corner.
I won't spam you.
Was it Smoke?
I play Noob Saibot.
Yeah, Smoke
No,
is
it's probably
my guy.
Noob
This is a
Saibot's
big
Saibot, you couldn't play him in 3.
big Ultimate 3.
In Trilogy, you could.
In Trilogy, you could, but not even in Ultimate.
This is the big exposition because every movie has it.
Right, this is
He's
where we
like-
find out Trevelyan lives. He comes up and he's basically saying like 007, you're still working for the government because you're a dumb twat.
Right.
I am ascending to loftier goals. I'm going to take all the knowledge that I was given by the MI6.
Yeah.
And I'm going to work for my own means.
And he has that burn on his face, and he goes, "So and so didn't do that to me. You gave me this face."
Yeah, he's like half of
It's
his
like, well, the
face
other
is
dude faked
fucked up.
shooting him, and he blames him because he set the timers for 3 minutes instead of 6.
Right, and now this is where Natalia and Bond meet their.
Well, it's the very
fate
stereotypical trite. The bad guy explains his whole scheme to you, and then instead of killing you, because he
Did
puts
they?
he
He
lets
put them in a jet.
Well, watch this. Yeah, instead of shooting him right there when he could, he put a dart in him. Instead of killing the one man that can stop you, you explain your whole plan, and then you put him in some contrived.
They could have just killed them.
Yeah, and then you put him in some contrived booby trap that he's obviously going to escape from.
I'm going to put them in
and then I'm going to leave
in a machine of war.
And then I'm going to leave so I don't see if he actually dies or not.
Because it's all going to go according to plan.
It's like every
Absolutely.
Bond film.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you my whole plan, and then instead of killing you, I'm going to put you in a convoluted booby trap, and then leave, assuming that it's going to work.
Is these missiles supposed to come back or what?
Yeah, their target is
themselves. Yeah.
Now watch. Here's two things coming up. Watch very closely when they eject.
Oh yeah. How are you going to eject past the props?
Watch.
I don't understand.
Watch. A good thing it's right by his head.
Oh.
If you freeze frame it right there, you can tell it's two dummies in that thing when it goes
Oh,
up.
yeah.
They steal a shot from Die Hard 2 right there.
Did they really?
Well, you know that...
Was it just like stock footage?
No, it's not stock footage, but it's that shot.
It's their footage.
I see what you're saying.
Where he comes up and Bruce Willis comes right into the frame as the plane blows up, and he goes, "Ah!" And he's still strapped into the chair.
Right.
And then I mean, that was still...
Damn, that is a convoluted eject system. I wonder if any actual helicopter aircraft has that.
Do you think they would have at least been like, hey, disable the parachutes, even if he does... Oh, but we're going to put him right there. Like, I'm sorry, he hits the eject button with his head. In what helicopter...
Looked like he hit it with his eyeball.
Yeah. Well, in what helicopter is the eject button right up there by your head?
Yeah, it seems a little silly.
Wouldn't it be down here?
Especially if you like go to yawn and you kind of like stretch
under a
out and you
glass
eject
case.
yourself on accident.
Yeah.
It'd be like
his hands
under
are
a glass
tied.
case with a little mallet or something. Yeah.
You'd have to maybe punch in, a 4-digit code to open, But no, it was right by his head because that was the only thing.
Pierce Brosnan's like, calm down, bitch, we're live.
That's one of the most ridiculous scenes, probably.
Because that eject button launched all the props off of the gyro, and then launched not just
So
their
that it can
seats, but their entire cockpit out.
Yeah, just a little that square.
That's not real. The only reason that was like that is because there was two people and both of them had to survive for the purpose of the movie.
It's a little silly to me. But
I'm pretty
whatever.
sure the top. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure the top would have blown off too, and just them would have shot up.
I don't think
not that whole thing.
I don't think helicopters actually have an eject seat at all. Like they
because it's a helicopter.
Well, there's emergency.
You're going to go right through the blades.
Jump out.
There's emergency landings. I'm not a pilot. I know a couple people, but
if you eject out of a helicopter, you're going to go straight through the blades.
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah.
what would be would you go down? Would it shoot you out?
And
the bottom?
if there was a point of like ejection for these props, and that's a point of weakness. So there's no way that it could withstand the pressures that it needed.
And I'm willing to bet you're the one.
Anyway, whatever. That was
it's James Bond, but it is ridiculous. When all you got to do is take 10 seconds to go. Wait a minute.
Wait a gosh darn second.
I'm no pilot, but that don't make sense.
And now we're at the part wherever James Bond is being authoritarian. He's like, "Tell me everything you know, woman.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll fuck you."
And another big mistake in these movies, they put them in the same cell together so that they can talk, come up with a plan.
Right.
That's the thing they made fun of in Austin Powers, right?
Yeah. Oh, this movie
like,
alone.
You don't want to watch him die? It's like, no, I'm gonna leave.
Well, that's what we were just talking about.
Austin Powers
006 just told him his whole plan.
Yeah.
And then instead of killing him, he sedates him, puts him in a convoluted booby
Death
trap
trap,
thing,
yeah.
and then leaves, assuming that the trap will work.
That's a whole joke in Austin Powers,
Yeah.
like,
which is kind of the same thing that
Yeah,
James
it's the
Bond
whole
does.
thing.
To
Like, why
these-
didn't you
these
just kill him?
characters.
Yeah.
Because he
could have just shot him.
He finds the character that can help him move forward, that helps solve the mission and complete the movie, but they always end up getting.
And another
Well, yeah,
subversion.
we just missed the scene where the bad guy explains his whole plot.
Right.
And then leaves.
And another subversion
Instead of killing
that,
the one guy that could stop him.
that the Daniel Craig movies did. The other subversion is instead of like getting in a convoluted, weird death trap, he just straps him to a chair and like hits his balls.
Oh man,
His
that
torso.
scene, yeah.
Like he's like, I don't need to do anything complicated to get you to talk. I'm just gonna hit you in the balls with this monkey fist.
And the bad guy in Casino Royale, don't say it. Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads Mikkelsen.
He went on to play Hannibal in the TV series,
That's
which is
right.
very underrated.
That's right.
I highly,
I saw somebody talking about that today. So
highly recommend you watch that show.
I hear it's really good.
He was in Rogue One.
He's fantastic.
He's a very good villain.
He was in like a modern silent movie called Valhalla Rising.
That's a very good one too.
That was basically
It's very. I don't know if that's silent. It was Norwegian or Swedish. Isn't it subtitled?
It's not silent. I just call it that because there's like 10 lines of dialogue in the whole movie. It's a visual.
It's kind of like a Mad Max film. Like,
Or what was that movie that just came out?
Certain it was a room off?
It was a war movie.
He killed that.
Dunkirk.
Yeah, Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
Had very
yeah,
few lines. To
Very few. I mean, yeah, the first 30 minutes, I think there's only like one line.
Another satellite.
That's a very amazing movie. I love Christopher Nolan, Hans Zimmer.
I still haven't seen that one.
It's really good.
Oh man, you got to watch it.
I know.
It hooks you like immediately. He knows how to like set a
Saying
pace.
something about the lost art of interrogation, Mr. Bond.
See, now he's talking about like interrogating, but you know what he's not going to do? He's not going to tie him naked to a chair and flap his balls.
And they spell defense with a C apparently.
Who's out of order?
This is just like another random
I've seen this gun before.
unnecessary bad guy.
Put it down, General!
But you know the balls thing, right? So we talked about Daniel Craig kind of was a reset for the Bond character. He was more accurately portrayed, I guess, realistically. And it's kind of a recurring theme nowadays. Like they finally figured out how to reboot things right. You know, the It series, they did a reboot of not Halloween, a couple different movies. So they redid, and they did a really good job. They're slowly figuring out how to do it properly. But there's this thing that you saw in Last Jedi.
Yeah, I was just about to say you could call Force Awakens almost
right, right. But it's Force Awakens and the one Last Jedi is what I'm getting to, where they. It was the same thing we talked about with Q, where it's like they didn't have that moment because they were underground or whatever. It's a thing that they're doing that I agree with and is a good method, but also isn't great, where they try to destroy the old to make way for the new.
Right.
And that's part of the ball busting scene is like, we're going to break this James Bond character.
This dude that's like a big part of him.
Right. And they did that in Last Jedi where it was basically
him.
like fuck what you expect. We're gonna
do
change everything.
You think Luke Skywalker's going to be this big badass, but he's this.
And it's like, I agree with that method. I don't like the way they did it in Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I get why they did
It's
it.
a strange passing of the torch that
it's
probably could have been done a lot better.
Well, it's like
you give the audience a little bit of fan service, but don't kiss their ass. Do something.
It's not even
do something new with it.
But it's also don't completely shit. On what came before.
What came before? Yeah.
Which is what Ryan Johnson did, which is a lot of people are not happy with him. I get why they did it.
I get it too. Yeah, he looked at Force Awakens and said that was the easy way to go.
Yeah.
It was too much fan service in Force Awakens.
Yeah, it was the same.
So they're like, we'll give you a little bit of what you expect, but then we're going to halfway through flip it on you to where, like those certain scenes, like movies like this too, where you're like, oh, okay, I know this kind of scene, I know what's about to happen, and then they surprise you. You're like, oh, I didn't expect that.
Donna.
Yeah, but with Jedi, they surprised me by disappointing.
Yeah. I did not expect it when it happened. It's on Netflix now, too. I watched certain scenes last night, and I was like, oh, God.
Last Jedi's on Netflix now?
Yeah. Well, Disney's got that.
I thought they were supposed to be starting their own streaming service.
They're going to be launching like their own thing. And I'm pretty sure it'll have all Marvel, all Star Wars, all that other shit.
And then they'll take movies out of the vault every now and then.
Well, I just read an article today about how commentaries are becoming a thing of the past.
Yeah, I saw you post that.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
I don't buy that. I don't believe it. They were like, oh, they just did that because it was cool.
But this is everything that the article was about, talking about the one that they saw that was amazing.
Yeah.
That goes against everything they said that they're dead.
That's why people. I was like, I love that. when I find a movie, even if I semi-quasi like the movie, if there's a commentary on it with like the lead actor and the director, I'm all about it. But there's certain directors that will not do it. Quentin Tarantino and Christopher Nolan, for example, you will never find a commentary on any one of those movies because they think it takes the magic out of the movie if they explain the whole thing. I, as a film buff myself, I love learning those little things of like, hey, on this day, that guy you see right there, he was puking his guts up on the side, or what, whatever. Like, I like learning that kind of stuff.
So, pop quiz. If you guys have been paying attention to the A to Z podcast group on any of this stuff, you'll know what my favorite of all time DVD commentary is because I told it to Emily. She was like asking one time, like, what's the best? Do any of you guys remember what I said?
Oh yeah, it was. It had two or three actors that get drunk.
I can.
They didn't get drunk. But they were goofy.
Right,
they were goofy.
Goofy as hell.
Well, I'll just go ahead and tell you, my favorite DVD commentary of all time is Step Brothers.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
The director, Adam McKay.
Yeah.
Adam McKay, Will Ferrell, and John C.
It's
Reilly.
almost as funny as the movie itself.
It's everything I wish we could do.
Yeah.
They bring in a Casio keyboard and just make up songs.
Oh, yeah.
My two favorite, and Chris will probably say the same thing, Big Trouble in Little China and The Thing. Because John Carpenter and Kurt Russell, and that's what you want.
I want to hear that. I've never heard
They're
those.
really good.
And they do it on both of those, and you can tell those guys are friends. They both openly say that they smoke weed, and you can hear them coughing and laughing, and you can hear
You can hear John Carpenter lighting
you can hear
cigarette after cigarette.
Yeah, you can hear Zippo lighting. It's just funny because they're enjoying it.
Right.
Another really great commentary.
You just want to hang out, like honestly.
Tropic Thunder.
Oh, that one is
I bet
great.
that would be good.
Because Robert Downey Jr.
Does not break character.
In the movie, Robert Downey Jr. says,
I don't break character to the red carpet.
He says, I don't break character to the end of the DVD commentary.
Oh, shit.
The whole commentary, he does it in character until the credits start rolling, and he finally
and then
speaks
he becomes
as
Lazaro.
himself.
I have not heard Tropic
He
Thunder
finally goes,
commentary.
okay,
I've got to hear that. I got to hear that.
Robert Downey Jr. is
stays in
like
meta.
a good example of somebody who's
He's a
like,
fucking jewel.
like you see the pictures of him whenever he's in the prison.
A comeback story.
It's amazing.
It is.
This chase scene is so ridiculous. If you were to look, like, why? First of all, obviously we get it because it's a movie. You want to see Pierce Brosnan.
Well, no,
But why does he have his head sticking out of this? And
probably
also, how does he
because
keep up?
there's all the rubble from the things are going to cover his vision.
How did none of that hit him or hurt him?
No, well, he opened up after the things.
Dug down.
Yeah, he opened the hatch after all that rubble was concealing the thing. And then also, I love how
This
even
tank
a
can
regular
keep up.
car, like that little tiny car was crashing through buildings. I'm like, in Soviet Russia, we make everything very good. Everything top quality, nothing left.
Well, that one right there hanging over the edge, it crashes and the guys go flying out. And then another one that can't stop goes over it. And as it's going over it, the one beneath it just somehow, for some reason, just explodes for no reason.
Zach, these are like a lot of cop cars.
I love it.
Oh, man.
Well,
those
James
cop,
Bond
you'll
doesn't
see those
kill
cop
innocent
cars like
people,
that? That's like
but
what we're
he's
talking
like-
about.
He's
They're like
running over
$400
this shit. And I can't remember where they filmed this. Some of it actually was, I believe they shut down some city streets.
It's probably filmed in like Belarus, something that used to be Russia, but it's probably filmed in like Minsk, Belarus, is what I'm
But then they
guessing.
get these set pieces like this. This movie legitimately was filmed like all over the world. Like when they say
Oh,
they were
yeah,
in
yeah.
this
The bungee
place.
jump was in Switzerland. The casino scenes
Like,
and the
well, look at
helicopter
that.
demonstration were in Monte Carlo.
Look, he just ran over that cop car, but the guy comes
No,
crawling
the
out.
tank chase.
How did that happen?
Those dudes would be dead as
The
shit.
tank
That'd be
chase was
flattened.
shot in St. Petersburg.
So
Russia.
that's for
Russia.
real.
That's fucking
Yeah.
Russia prime.
Yeah, that's especially that. That's very.
And
famous.
some of the St. Petersburg shots were actually shot in London.
Pierre.
Perrier.
You mean Perrier?
Perrier product placement.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! Do you guys know about one of the best stories of
Those
all
are
time?
Clearly empty.
Do you guys know about Houston, H-Town, hold it down? Do y'all know about how H-Town led to the dissolution of the USSR? Do you know about the story? It's fucking
Started banging
amazing.
Screw what?
No, it's fucking amazing. So honestly, before the dissolving of the USSR, their guy was Gorbachev. Remember in the early
Oh yeah. Okay.
So what happened was Gorbachev
He had that
he
Birthmark on his.
he did a tour in America.
Yeah.
But this is before the fall of the wall. This is
Who
before the
was it that
dissolution.
told us about that?
I don't remember, but the thing is, so he did a tour of America, and one of his first stops was in Houston, and he met with The mayor of Houston.
Amanda Allison, that's who told me.
That's who told
So this
it,
is before the fall of the wall, or
It's before. And then so Gorbachev is going around. He's meeting with like
straightens his tie right there.
he's meeting with the mayor of Houston, like a whole bunch of stuff. It's like a press tour almost.
Yeah.
One of their first stops they do is at a Randall's supermarket in Houston, and they're looking through the Randall's, which is just any normal supermarket. It's just like Market Basket or Kroger, even pitiful Kroger, like you know what I mean?
Train.
And then like Gorbachev's like looking around, he's like picking up cantaloupes. And his face is like...
Yeah, you can see pictures of it in his face.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's one of the best stories of all time.
He's like, I've never seen a cantaloupe that looks like this.
Because he's the most...
No, he's never seen a cantaloupe.
He's the most privileged, probably one of the most privileged persons
and
in
never
Russia.
seen a cantaloupe.
And he was just blown away by the amount of selection.
The variety.
And everything.
The fresh fruit.
Like, he didn't believe it. He
thought
was
they
like,
were fucking if you look up the pictures, he's blown away. Yeah. He's like, there's
y'all
beets
fucking with me right now?
And corn.
Like
and
a lot
peppers
of
in
historians.
one place.
And because
a lot
like
of historians attribute his experience on that trip and his disillusionment from that to why Russia fell very soon after.
Wow.
Because he quickly like
he realized that it was communism was a flaw.
After that, like he did that first one, he looked up and in the back of his mind he thought it was a show market like they did. He was like, this is
like
a
what
fake
they do in North Korea and stuff.
Like he was like, this is a fake one. So when they continued on to their tour throughout Houston, he saw another random Randall's. And he demanded that they stop there, and they went in, and it was.
He wanted to see if they were all the same.
And it was the same. And
after we get in, I'll show you the pictures.
And he
the
completely,
look on his face,
dude. He completely and utterly lost faith in communism at that point in time in Houston, Texas,
because of a Randall's
in like
really
1988 or something. And 6 months later, they were like, "Yeah, we're ending this because it's bullshit." Because of fucking Randall's in Houston, Texas.
Well, you know who really was responsible for bringing down the wall?
Patrick Swayze.
David Hasselhoff.
See, I was going to say Hasselhoff, too.
Yeah, when he played. You remember what he sang?
Oh, in German?
He had the song.
The Sledgehammer?
He's huge out there.
Yeah, he's massive over
and
there.
Sledgehammer, yeah.
He had that keyboard scarf.
In Clear Lake. It was Clear Lake. That's
Clear
what it
Lake,
was,
yeah. Houston, same
That's
thing.
a
Yeltsin. It was Yeltsin.
rich suburb of Houston, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess enough of that rant. We'll get back to this.
Somehow James Bond
the tank
got
train
ahead of
scene.
them. They were on the train, and somehow
on a fast train.
He got that tank in front of them somehow. And
Damn,
here's
Trevelyan.
Sean Bean trying
know,
to
dude, that's
fucking rape this
Trevelyan, you
girl.
being like fucking wild, dog.
I just really want to make out right
like,
now.
Isn't it like Sean
Well,
Bean is the most murdered person in?
It's an ongoing.
I don't know.
It's like a
That's
meme.
like
He's
a
not the
joke.
most. He's not the most. There's
No,
more.
he's not the most, but he does die a lot.
He's the
in
most
his
well known. Yeah.
Full speed.
It became a meme in itself.
Trevelyan was like, "Bitch, don't you know I'm a 00? Let's make out." I used
I
to
don't
make
even
out
need
with
to go
everybody.
full steam, man. Have you seen the front of this train?
Yeah, it's definitely a plow. It's like an iron.
It's like that Snowpiercer train. If you've never seen the Snowpiercer,
It's like an
I
iron
like
curtain
that movie.
train.
I thought it was pretty good.
It's a great movie, actually.
There's a crazy fucked up twist towards the end.
Yeah.
And the tank shooting that big steel thing somehow created a massive fireball on the front of it.
I love Ed Harris. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
that's
say
what
that.
I was like, was it William Hurt or Ed Harris?
Ed
at the end of
Harris.
that?
I love Ed Harris.
Oh, I fucking love Ed Harris. Another reason why our listeners should watch Westworld. Ed Harris is fucking amazing.
The Man in Black.
The best Man in Black that we've seen.
Yeah,
Better
definitely
than
not
Matthew McConaughey.
Not McConaughey.
So like, why don't
Our Stephen King fans will
Back
get
in
that
summer.
shit.
so like
95.
why don't they just like kill Natalia? You know, this is the second time where they could have, and she's on the train, and they're just like, yeah, we'll just.
Well, because Alan Cummings' character, he worked with, he has admitted to them
He's like
that
the hacker.
she's smarter than he is at it, so that they could
so they
maybe
wanna
use
turn
her.
her, yeah.
Yeah, well, not necessarily turn her, but they could use her.
Right. Gotcha.
You have no backup, no escape route.
This was the first thing I ever saw Sean Bean in.
Me too. Yeah.
Where
This also was, from my memory, the hardest level on the video game.
The train?
Because it was
You had to defuse the bombs
That's right, yeah.
before they went off.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, and you're going through like all the different. Yeah.
The train cars, yeah.
Yeah.
strawberries.
It's like I hate video game levels where you're timed to get your objective done, or if you don't do it quick enough.
Well, that's why they do it. They're effective.
Yeah.
So,
I'm really trying to
They're the ones that are most likely to make me throw my controller.
Oh yeah, I'll rage because I'm like, man, if I just took my time, I could do this easy.
I'm trying to imagine what this scene in basically the whole movie would have been like if it was as it was intended originally, where it was an older mentor and it was like Anthony Hopkins standing there right now.
It would have been a different type of movie. Anthony Hopkins would have changed
it would
the
so
whole
different
thing. Yeah.
Wouldn't that have been so weird?
His presence
There's
alone, like all
another
that.
movie that did that very
this was
famously.
a younger Anthony Hopkins that it would have been too.
But he still would have been older than
He would have
Pierce.
been-
He would have
Yeah,
been.
he was still white-haired,
He would have been
you know?
Bond before Bond came up. You know,
Because about 3 years after this
I'm trying to
movie,
see
The
what
Mask of
years-
Zorro
yeah.
came out, and Anthony Hopkins was still an old man.
there's a
So,
very
and it was
famous movie.
1995.
Very famous movie where the mentor betrays him and he has to kill his mentor. The movie is very similar to this.
Pretty much, it's a story as old as time.
Yeah, I mean,
really.
if you, but I know there's one that I'm thinking.
That's a primal story. It's a story
Yeah,
of
yeah.
it's,
Now,
a,
okay,
it's a story
so
with when the boy grows up to best his father.
Well, the line, you know,
Yeah.
if you live long enough, you see
No,
yourself become the villain kind of
it's not
thing.
even that,
They
it's-
become it's
yeah.
a disillusionment. Oh, I've been working for the Queen for so long,
For
and
sure,
now I realize I've been
for
doing
sure.
this for all the wrong
But
reasons,
look,
and I'm
this-
going to go rogue.
This
or
was 95.
I'm going to try and
he did
convince you to help follow me.
He did Silence of the Lambs in 91, and there's several scenes where he's like white t-shirt, like he's older, but he's like a stout old dude.
Yeah.
Or it was.
Yeah, no.
Let me see that picture,
like
dog.
decades
Pull that
ago.
shit up.
He's a good looking old man. Anthony Hopkins is one of the best to ever
Well, it's
do
not
it.
even about how he looks, but it's just like he was pretty fit at that time. He was probably in his early 50s.
He could have.
This movie
It
is
would have been
obsessed with
believable that
helicopters.
he could have been a former agent.
Did y'all ever see that video of Anthony Hopkins being surprised he went to the orchestra and they played?
That was his. Oh, I watch it all the
played-
time.
Yeah, that came up recently, I think.
I love
Yeah.
Andre Ryu and all
They
that
played his
orchestra
piece.
stuff. Him and his.
Did you know
and
that,
his,
Chris?
his,
You're looking very confused right now, Chris.
We'll have to play it later. He wrote.
He wrote a sonata.
A sonata or
Yeah,
a waltz.
something.
And then they ended up surprising him,
Somebody
played
found
it for him.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they shot video of him in the audience.
He's
to
in
get the
audience.
reaction.
And it's an
That's
amazing
cool,
piece of
that's
music.
cool.
And you could see his face. It turns like
It
he's
brings
like,
tears to my eyes watching it.
Yeah.
It's the realization.
right.
That's awesome.
That is also
mine.
like,
Because he wrote it when he was 19,
Yeah.
and he's like fucking 90, right?
Andre Ryu was the guy that composed it.
But
that's
it's still
there
it's still a part of him
doing it.
clearly. So you know,
And it's his wife sitting next to him that set it all up.
Right.
And she just is looking at him with just so proud.
It was cool, man.
I mean,
was
it
really
brings
cool.
tears to my eyes watching it. Yeah,
It's cool. I put it up there on par with like Little Boy That Likes the
It's-
Garbage Men Truck guys.
It's up there.
Like it's up there on the feels.
Oh yeah, that stuff. Yeah, if I want to cry, I can put in Andre Ryu. You know, Amazing Grace,
The
or
Phil's
something like
post
that.
that always brings tear to my version of that is the story of
Little kids hearing for the first time.
the story
and
of
shit
how
like
how
that.
dogs we
dogs,
are like
yeah.
elders, and
Oh,
somebody
we're
wrote
elves.
like a
We're elves.
we're
to
like
them.
elves to
They're
them,
like men,
and then they
we're
wrote
elves.
like a little like paragraph about
He's in Cuba.
he's growing old, my whiskers are gray.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
it's
those are
like,
super
that one
sad.
always kills
No,
me.
I think Aaron shared like a cesspool of that shit one day. It was
I did.
very
Did you cry?
depressing. I teared up.
Good. I was about to say. if
that
you
was
did,
a scene too where you're running from the train, right?
Mhm.
In the
That was-
game.
that
You
was
get
part
off
of
the
the
train
game.
in
Seriously,
time.
like all my memory of this movie is from the game.
From the game.
It's the most accurate film to game adaptation for sure.
It's the best.
because every level
I'd
is a
say
set
it's the
piece
best.
from
Pretty
the
much,
movie.
like I can't think of anything.
It became something more than a movie. Like
I'm a-
that game was its own thing. Like
I'm gonna
people,
flip
people have
that,
never
too.
seen this movie.
Because you
know
were like,
Goldeneye.
I'm James Bond. It was the first time you were like, because it was
sure.
first
Yeah, yeah,
person.
yeah.
You know, it was first person view.
It
so
was
you're
one
like,
of the first FPSs that wasn't like Wolfenstein or Doom
Yeah,
or something,
right, and it
too.
was
you
back
felt
in
like
the day
you were
where
James Bond.
It was also back in the day where everybody huddled up together, like in a house.
I mean,
on
that was
one
kind of
TV.
the starter. That was kind of
Right,
the beginning of multiplayer.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Right, it was the
As
beginning
far
of
as
split
shooters,
screen. That's
yeah.
for sure.
Well, split screen multiplayer was the beginning
Right.
of multiplayer.
Yeah,
Of being able to play with your
Counter
friends.
Strike. Yeah, I mean before internet. Yeah,
I mean, Counter Strike came out soon after, but
it
that's
was
different.
PC.
Yeah.
yeah, but Counter Strike wasn't split screen. That's
was
not the
PC,
same.
yeah,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You do a LAN party and everybody bring their modem over to somebody's house and hook it all up.
Well, this set the ground that created Halo, and Halo was
Right,
like
right.
made it even bigger. The split screen that brought the newer controls. Mm-hmm.
It set the ground for Perfect Dark, all
I
kinds
kind
of
of want
shit.
split screen
you
to
know?
come back in a way.
I thought Perfect Dark.
Well,
was
it's
before.
it's
It had-
Perfect Dark. I remember
Perfect Dark
playing
was the
it-
first game that came out on the Xbox.
They had a split screen.
I remember doing
No, that's the sequel. The
like the
original was on
old Call of Duties
64.
before internet, where you could do 2v2, but it was split screen and you could cheat because if you knew the maps well, you could just look down at the other guy's screen and know exactly where he was.
screen
same,
looking.
same thing with
stop screen
it's
looking.
the same thing with Goldeneye, though.
The real ass
stop
people taped cardboard to the middle of the fucking TV.
Hell yeah.
And you said under
Did you do
it.
that shit?
Hell yeah. No camping, noob.
played
So
with honorable
wait,
Oh, yeah.
wait.
Quick
They
camp.
just were making out outside of that destroyed
Cut to the
train.
Bahamas.
Now they're in the Caribbean. Are you serious?
Well, they figured out the location.
In a BMW Z4, how
Yeah.
compact and powerful is
Bringing
that
the-
car,
the
right?
BMW
right, BMW,
now. Yeah.
right?
Actually, pretty great.
flying down those dirt roads.
It wasn't a Z4. I'm sorry, it was a Z3. It's the 90s. I screwed up there. Sorry.
Another amazing set piece because they did film all this stuff on location. So like when they're in Russia, they're in Russia. When they were, I don't know.
Some of the scenes were in
at the
Russia.
beginning, you said it was in Sweden,
Sweden was the scene, but most of the set
but
pieces
they don't
were
act-
shot
they
in
don't
London.
say they were in
Or
Sweden.
Were shot in the UK.
Right.
so.
Well, Femke Jensen's like Swedish.
The
right?
the dam, the jump was shot in Sweden,
Yeah.
but everything past that was probably in.
Can I put in my
and Pinewood, the very famous Pinewood Studios in England.
Can I put in my
One of the biggest indoor set things ever.
my vote for the next movie we do?
We do need to come up with something for the next one.
If we're not working on our special project, like I really want to do this one movie, and I don't know why I thought about this, but when you were talking about doing sets all around the world, there's one movie very famous for doing this first. There was one movie that was
Lawrence of Arabia.
There was one movie. There was one movie that was very famous for having like a very inflated budget
You're
because
kind of being disrespectful right now because the movie's not over yet.
Doesn't exist.
I don't care.
We'll do that.
Whatever,
We'll do
I
that
don't
at the
care.
credits.
I don't care. Anyway, so there's this movie that was like that they went all around the world. It was a huge budget, and I love this movie a lot. It's called Quest for Fire, and it's about cavemen.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And
that
they
almost has no dialogue. Too,
And
right?
it has no dialogue, but they did like a film set on like every continent. It
That's
was
a drama,
fucking
so
dope.
That's pretty awesome.
I love that movie.
Are you
Quest for
mainly into
Fire.
silent films or movies that have like no lines? or
Sure.
anything?
He's trying to seem like he's avant-garde. Right?
I'm a big fan of drama.
It's not avant-garde. It's got Ron Perlman in it and Tommy Chong's daughter. What's her name?
Is that who's? Do you know the director off the top of your head? Is
Tammy
that
Chong?
Jean-Pierre Jeunet?
I can't remember. I don't know.
Let me look it up.
I don't know, but I
Chris
love the movie.
glanced at me. Do you recognize that name?
No.
He did City of Lost Children. He did
Oh.
Alien Resurrection.
No,
can't
Jean-Jacques Annaud.
Oh, I was close.
That sounds
a
familiar.
Frenchman.
It sounds like the same guy that did The Bear.
So what's our time at right now? Because we're
Bear.
We're coming up on
It's
the
pretty
last.
much it's the ending.
Yeah, we're coming up on the last action.
No,
There's gonna
no,
be some
no.
kind of
We're not
twist.
even at the big satellite thing.
Well,
y'all.
that's what I'm saying. We're coming up towards that last action piece, but he's got to fuck
Oh
this
shit,
girl
we have
first.
30 minutes left. Jesus.
Yeah,
got-
we're not even.
He's got to
We're
fuck
not
her
even.
first.
Damn it! I thought we were almost done.
This is a false. This is a false ending. Is what this
That's
is.
right. Yeah, it happens. That's another Bond.
Look at this. This isn't real. This is like a matte painting
That
or
is
something.
bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not bad. It looks pretty good actually, but I just knew it wasn't real. It was too perfect. Just
that a
that.
Did you see that shot just then?
He's looking
That was that.
off
That was
in
that
the,
underbutt. Did y'all see that underbutt?
Yeah.
He's looking off in the distance and being brooding, and
Natalia, you just can't compete.
this is another
They
job.
almost kind of.
I can't bring you with me
this scene
because I
is
can't
almost-
see another woman
It's almost
die.
mimicked in Casino Royale. 'cause
Almost
this
all
is-
of them.
This is the scene where they're in Venice.
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh, yeah.
There's always those times where he's like contemplating, am I
Well,
going to
'cause-
keep doing
well,
this?
'cause
Am I
the-
going to do this till I die, or should I just settle down with
Well,
this girl?
the train blew up,
Unless he kills you first.
and then they didn't see. We didn't see anybody die. So obviously,
well, he's also like,
Your death for what?
now that he knows that 006 is the main bad guy, he's kind of like, can I bring myself to kill this guy who used to be a very close friend, kind of thing?
Right.
I don't see why
when
they
the
would have any problem with
when the
that.
moment comes, and will I hesitate to shoot him, kind of thing?
now what you said. What you
Would
said.
you, Tim? Would you hesitate?
What you
I
said.
wouldn't hesitate to kill not one of y'all.
Are you serious?
You wouldn't hesitate to kill me
If there was like a,
If you betrayed us, yeah.
if there was a like
if I betrayed you. You wouldn't hesitate.
Probably not.
It
No,
depends
You didn't
on the-
hesitate to betray.
depends on the gravity of
I mean,
the
some people make
betrayal.
mistakes, y'all. I'm sorry. I made a mistake.
So what you said earlier, Tim, about how this scene is like him questioning, like what I love is that because the Bond films are so popular, they kind of set the standard for creating more spy films. So you have the Bourne trilogy, you have,
Well, the spoofs like Austin Powers,
yeah, but like
True
I
Lies,
love how they've
Mission
taken that
Impossible.
same idea and carried it forward. And
Mission
it's not just
Impossible is its own
we
thing.
can't give credit to the
Well, yeah,
movies
but-
because there's a lot of books that made these happen. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love
and they
I
take
love
on a
the
life of their
British
own.
drama like spy films, but the American is like a good example of that. The American was done. It was George Clooney.
George Clooney, yeah.
And the opening scene is him doing what you just said that he was contemplating. Is like, I'll pick a woman and we'll go and live our lives. And the opening scene is basically he has to fight off these guys that found him, and then he shoots the girl. Sorry for the spoiler. And then just goes off on his thing
to kill that attachment.
That's The American is one of the top 10 movies where
it's a really good movie,
where the trailer and the synopsis fools the watcher.
Right.
Because they're doing that a lot more now. Too.
Another reason, like we're saying, Mission Impossible and all these, True Lies and all these different movies that kind of riff on this or take homage.
Right.
Well, when they rebooted Bond with Daniel Craig, the reason it became so gritty and his fighting style, he became a brawler, and they did that big free running thing, and they tried to ground it more. The main reason they did that is because
184.
Yes, sir.
Because the Pierce Brosnan movies got so cheesy and so over the top, they cared more about special effects,
and gadgets
than a good story.
Right, because that was the big thing they said about Casino Royale is there was
the reason they picked Daniel Craig and went that route and made him a brawler and they had all these bad fight scenes. The Bourne movies,
right,
yeah.
When they did the Bourne Ultimatum or whatever the first one was, and those and those movies have amazing fight choreography.
They're the best.
And Matt Damon is in there doing his own stunts.
Matt Damon fucked that dude up with a newspaper.
Yeah, the newspaper. That's the one thing that always comes to my mind.
With a pencil.
Yeah, it's because that's why they're like, okay, that's the whole the main reason why they brought it back in the first place, because they're like, we need to get back in this.
We're talking about the continuity.
It's very similar.
How the Bond characters are different people, but they're the same designation. Yeah. I was actually looking around for that at a quiet moment, and really, more than I realized, the Daniel Craig Bond series really was like that. That's why it was so popular, because it really was like a reset of all that thing, because that's what proved all those theories wrong.
Yeah.
Because they kind of did put a full reset
they
on.
Did.
They looked at the Bourne Ultimatums.
They gave him the grave and everything.
Yeah.
It was like not a designation. But that's you were. I think you were out.
It was gritty.
Using the bathroom,
it was
and
brutal.
I was saying that the way I put it in the timeline is that Daniel Craig's was first, even
and
though
all these happen after.
Even though they're older and technologically speaking,
but Daniel Craig was probably that's that first movie.
He's the OG.
And
that's the first James Bond.
It was the only time that they've done James Bond and gave him like a backstory.
Yeah, and then the origin story goes full circle in Skyfall.
Origin story, yeah.
Because in Skyfall you find out where he grew up.
It's so
towards the end of the movie, you see his house.
It's so irritating that they rushed that movie.
Skyfall.
Was good.
Skyfall. Javier Bardem. Not
I thought Quantum of Solace was in between.
Yeah, it was.
In between. Yeah.
So Skyfall was the last one.
Then Spectre. And Spectre was so too.
Wait, so it was Casino Royale,
Casino, Quantum of Solace.
They did 4?
Skyfall.
Mm-hmm. Damn, I forgot about that.
And Skyfall brought his whole origin story full circle. You got to see where he actually grew up. And at first I didn't really like that. I was like, I don't want to know too much about him. But it brought his whole story full circle. Like, that's where he grew up. And because it was always like, what made him get into this in the first place? What was his childhood like? Like, parents.
It was the only time they've ever given an emotional reasoning for the Bond character.
He wasn't just this invincible guy. He was.
Femke?
Yeah, here comes Femke.
So
somehow
good.
They just knew right where.
I always thought this was hilarious. I could tell when I was a kid that they were in the Caribbean at first, and then now all this stuff looks like a Congolese jungle.
Yeah,
it looks like
I believe these close-up shots here are a set. Yeah, they have real plants in the foreground, and then it's not matte, but green screen.
She's like, I'm gonna kill you, James Bond, and I'm gonna fuck you to death.
Because if you look at their faces, you can tell that's not real sunlight on their faces.
How is she that? She's not even got her legs crossed. I don't understand. How are you?
And he's like fully up off the ground. Look at that. He's fully up off the ground at knee level with her.
Wait for your turn.
I think this is the only
See, I
villain that we've seen
misremembered
that's
that. I
motivated
thought
by
she
sex.
kissed her right there. I remembered that differently. I thought she grabbed her and kissed her.
I hate to tell you guys this, but
wait, hold on.
Oh yeah, there's one right
here comes. Yeah. Wait for this one-liner.
Oh, they don't look good.
You can't count that as one of his kills because he didn't actually. It explodes for no reason before it even touched the ground.
Well, there's a lot of friction going on with.
Ooh, I see. Yeah.
I think that's like some Satan shit.
She always did enjoy a good squeeze.
She always did.
Oh God.
And the Academy Award goes to...
They could
right.
have killed her off a little better than that.
Yeah, that was kind of a...
What are you trying to say, guys?
I've been meaning to ask y'all for a bit now. What is the new series? There's 2 of them now. The newest one just came out like last year, and it's basically like a take on old Bond. It's very out there and just
TV?
no. It's movies. It's 2 movies. The sequel just came out. Maybe
Oh,
like
you're
last
talking about
year.
you're talking about the Kingsman.
Kingsman.
The
Kingsman.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
Kingsman's
Totally satire. Kind
Oh yeah, it's
serious
satire. It's
satire.
Bond.
but
It's
it's
art.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's really
It's
really
like
good.
John Wick. It's like John
Yeah,
Wick
yeah.
that way, where it's like it's over the top, but
And
it's
if you
also awesome.
It's very self-aware. It knows what it's doing.
Yes.
So good.
If you
it's
haven't
great.
I haven't seen the sequel.
Me
Well,
neither.
that's what I was about to say. If you haven't seen the sequel,
Hey.
fucking watch the sequel.
Go
buy
I
it.
just rewatched the
It's-
sequel.
Is it like the John
amazing.
Wick 2?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
it's,
I
I haven't
Better.
seen that one yet.
Better, I
it's
think.
so amazing.
Really?
I
Wow,
just
okay.
I just rewatched the second one with Mary maybe not even a week ago.
I went and watched it in the
And
theaters. It
it's-
was amazing.
It does the same thing that the Bond movies does. It
Yeah.
starts off with a good car chase.
Yeah.
And he's like on top of the car and doing all this weird shit. And at first she's kind of scoffing at it, going, "What?" And I'm like, "Wait, hold on." I was like, "Remember the first one? It's totally over the top. It's like a Bond movie."
Yeah.
I was like, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Like it's tongue in cheek. I mean, he gets out of situations that nobody could get out of. You know, like physics don't apply to him. You know, shit like that. Like I highly recommend you go see the second one.
I love the first one. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah,
You'd
the
love
first
it.
one was really fun.
Julianne Moore is the villain in the second one. Channing Tatum's in it.
Okay, I'll go.
They bring in Jeff
get it.
Bridges.
The guy
It's
who
a
plays
very
Oberyn,
good sequel.
The guy who plays Oberon in Game of Thrones. He's in it
Oberyn
too.
Martell.
Yeah, he's really good at it. They go
In
to
the- in the
America.
second
it's
one?
it's like the second one. The American, like
Oh
whiskey.
yeah,
whiskey.
whiskey. Yeah.
Yeah, whiskey's that's Oberyn. Yeah.
No, yeah, those movies are
This shit is
great.
crazy.
And
Look,
they
so-
definitely took a lot of.
So this part in this movie
Hidden
that
satellite
looked
in a lake.
that looked real to me because if I
It
know
looked
one
pretty
thing
good.
about like effects is that water is super hard. That doesn't.
That's
but,
a miniature.
That's reversed.
That's
They
reversed.
reversed.
That's
Yeah,
you
they
can tell
reversed
that's
it,
reversed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
But the original one looked very real. This is reversed.
It's a miniature
What the fuck? Why would they
reversing.
reverse it?
You see how the water went upwards? Like, yeah, you could tell it's reversed. But that was a miniature in those closer shots. That
Yeah.
wide shot, I don't know how they did that wide shot, to be honest.
That might be a real.
Without
place.
it looking fake as hell.
That might be a real place.
There is a satellite.
That is a real dam,
It is.
but there's no satellite and all that
No,
shit
there's a
there.
satellite that's just like that now that like looks for exoplanets.
Is online.
That is a thing though, where they can drain the dam and then fill it back up.
There is.
But you can see that they do that on smaller scales, like
Kill him.
No, that's a
submarines where you
real
come
place.
in.
Yeah,
That's a
it's-
real place
you dock and they
in
drain
Puerto
the
Rico.
water. Yeah.
Wow, that's
in
an
Puerto
observatory.
Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah. They look for like exoplanets and shit. It's cool.
And they were probably actually out there.
No, yeah, for sure.
This movie, that's one of the things. Like, did you mention at the beginning what the budget for this was?
60,
And
60
gross like 300 something.
370.
for 1995, considering that they were
To signal the satellite.
on location for most of that. It's pretty amazing. Are you going to get drinks? Grab that Mountain Dew thing. I want y'all to try that. See, this right here, them rolling down this. I'm not saying that this would kill them per se, but this would hurt
would
really,
hurt a lot.
really bad. That's like concrete.
Yeah. Well, it's aluminum or something. Whatever they make satellite dishes out of.
Well, they're not actually on the dish. This is like the thing that just drained. So it would
That's
all
the
still
dish.
it'd all still be totally wet.
No, it'd probably
No,
be
the
fine.
dish is up
I
in
mean,
the
if
air
if
now.
it was full of water, it'd probably covered in like mold and slime and shit. So
Yeah, exactly. Where's all the algae?
their inertia would have carried them over that edge.
Yeah.
So
Even if there was something for him to stop and plant his feet on.
it would have fucked his ankle up real bad.
Even if him as a special agent was able to stop himself, trying to catch her and her momentum would have dragged him over the edge too. Yeah, for sure. There's an even more ridiculous thing.
That's supposed to be the
Involved.
Earth.
Cut to a cartoon about a satellite.
Like they had better like effects and space footage in 2001: An Odyssey, which came out in the 60s.
Yeah, 1964, I think it was. 67.
See, it's like this. The 90s was like the beginning of the period. It's like we can do that with the special effects guys. It's whenever they started burying the special effects companies with work.
Well, yeah, that's
And
what I'm
not
saying.
paying.
It was that period of time, yeah.
Because it was possible.
Strictly not, yeah, it was possible. So it didn't even matter if it even applied to the story or even looked 100%. It was just the fact that they could do it, that they
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
And that's where all those over-the-top things started happening, because they would do it just because they could. They were like, well, why don't we have him on a fucking giant satellite, in the middle of Puerto Rico. Fuck it.
But I mean, that's why they went there, though. So.
Well, and a lot of great things happened because of that. For every 5 movies that did it crappy, the 6th guy came in and
got an Oscar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just so you guys know, there's people in Puerto Rico right now without power.
Right.
This is true.
Still.
Hey, by the way, y'all are enjoying this podcast and everything, but Flint, Michigan still don't have clean water, y'all.
That's true. They still don't, actually, which is true.
And I'm making a joke, but that's
not
really fucked up.
It's true.
That is really fucked up that's still
So I had like a pseudo argument the other night at the bar.
I love that the proximity mine's in the game.
Yeah, it's in the game, yeah.
The game looked exactly like that.
I had a pseudo argument with someone in the bar the other night where I was talking about how I think the Space Force is actually a good idea. I was like, I love the idea of the Space Force. They're like, yeah, Space Force is cool, but they're still not drinking water in Flint. I was like, we can have both, goddammit.
Yeah. No, that's why it's ridiculous.
Somebody just get on it.
We can have both, but nobody.
It's not an either or. I'm tired of the either or bullshit.
I don't know how we're going to have a Space Force and build Death Star without Wookiee slaves. So that's all I'm saying.
You know what? I'm only concerned about human lives. Fuck some Wookiees.
You ever been to Portland?
Who built? Yeah,
hey,
born
dude,
in
you ever met a
Portland.
Wookiee?
Wookiee lives matter as well.
Wookiees matter.
Go to Austin, you'll meet a Wookiee.
Yeah.
Go to
They're just hairy hippies.
Go to a craft beer bar in Austin, and you'll meet 20 Wookiees wearing flannel shirts.
So how is it?
You know a Wookiee, Chris?
Love you, Austin.
Do I know a Wookiee?
Yeah, you know a Wookiee?
I don't personally know a Wookiee.
You gonna introduce me to a Wookiee?
What are you trying to say?
I don't know.
Does that taste like
You
Mountain
just
Dew?
look like you're into it, that kind of thing.
Is that it?
Does that taste like Mountain Dew?
It actually does.
It's
It
really
tastes-
crazy how
it
it's
tastes a lot like
alcoholic?
Mountain Dew. Yeah,
It's
I'm gonna
5%.
I'm gonna pass it
It's
to you.
5%, but
It's the Not Your Father's brand.
I'm passing around a Not Your Father's brand. I think what's it called? And which is funny. What is it called? Mountain
Ale.
Mountain Ale.
Hey,
Damn, that
which
tastes
is
like Mountain Dew.
Hey.
It tastes just like
God
Mountain
damn.
Dew.
Send us some free shit, Not Your Father's brand.
Isn't that crazy?
Complete with sugar. Yeah.
Break into the back.
Oh, damn, that's sweet. Ugh.
Well, that's why it. Yeah.
That's why it's Mountain Dew, yeah.
Seconds before you set off the Goldeneye.
I wonder if
What's
has,
that shit that the meth heads make up there?
Mountain Dew mouth.
Meth?
That's
Yeah,
what they call it.
you mean White Lightning? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, there's some kind of like with Mountain Dew and
Those aren't,
and hillbillies making meth or
Those aren't
something
meth
like-
heads. Those are alcoholics, though. But yeah.
No, I'm thinking something else.
Who that is?
You always
And I love that. It's blinking on the screen.
Encryption in
progress. Dope. Pretty sure, first of all, that computer would not be capable
That's like-
of that. Second, I don't know that it would beep and warn you.
So that was like something we said way earlier in this episode was it's a different time when this movie was made and people were very naive to all kinds of technology, and now we all just know, we just know. What's the funniest thing about the 90s is like computer science and all this shit. Like, why would a computer ever blink encryption in progress? Or like,
Yeah, that would not be on the screen.
Like Jurassic Park when they're hacking it, and you're like, no one's gonna make a 3D graphical
Of their
user
own
interface.
selves.
Like,
Well, the Alan Cummings character earlier,
Right.
like the little square
That's
thing,
just not how it
I think
works,
like this
yeah.
was the basis for the AOL avatars or
oh
what am
yeah,
I
for
thinking
sure.
of, you
yeah,
know.
but that's just not how it works, which is hilarious.
No,
like,
it would- yeah.
That's the most 90s thing is like hackers. The movie Hackers. You're like, that's or Swordfish, and you're like,
They're
all right,
or
dude.
Lawnmower Man.
Or Lawnmower Man.
Hey, don't
Well,
talk
because
about
they have
Swordfish right there.
they have to dumb it down for the audience.
Well, they
Well,
rely on.
even Independence Day, they whenever he programmed the
Right,
bug
yeah.
for the mothership, he put like a skull and crossbones.
Yeah.
Right. You're like,
yeah,
you'd
yeah.
have to go out of your way to do that.
Yeah.
You'd have to create a skull and crossbones.
It's like, how long is it going to take you to do it? About 2 hours and 30 minutes for the skull and crossbones.
and somehow
to really stick it to the alien.
the payoff with the exploding pin that Q gave him
Oh,
earlier. Conveniently, this guy's little tick
Conveniently, he's
or,
like,
or
oh,
thing,
yeah.
he likes
Click the pin.
he likes to twirl his pin and click it over and over again. And somebody earlier was like, "Oh, that's so annoying." Can
His
you stop that?
OCD tick is
Super
the
fidgety.
pin.
So somehow that pin ended up in the one guy's hand.
She's a moron.
It's the
second level program.
it's
An
not.
OCD tick. I don't know.
Well, no, it's not the
She does.
the term for the.
It's not foreshadowing, but it's
It's. Yeah, I know. I'm
It's a
drawing a blank
device.
on the. It's what's the term for like the thing that has that moves the plot of the film, the
Plot
MacGuffin,
device?
the MacGuffin.
MacGuffin.
Ah,
But that's
yeah.
not the MacGuffin. it's a.
It is a MacGuffin.
Yeah. I mean, it comes back around. Like they specifically show you something earlier on in the film.
Not really. Actually, what that would be in.
No, I'm not saying it's not the MacGuffin, but I'm saying like when they specifically show you something early on in the film that you don't think makes sense because they'll zoom in on something very small and you're like, why are they forcing me to see this?
So what that's called,
because it's going to come back later. Not product placement, but
what that's called whenever they show a thing
that's going to come back later.
It's called intrinsic value.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was looking for.
Thank you, guys. I got myself in debt just to know what that was. Film school didn't do anything for me except for right now when I said that thing.
Because it's one of those like the gadget scene.
It was pretty awesome when you said it though.
Every time they would do the gadget scene in the James Bond movies, he was going to use each one of those gadgets at some point in the film. Or otherwise
that's how I describe the Evil Dead remake. Is that anything that they do a slow zoom or pan on is going to be used to brutally fuck somebody up.
It's not necessarily misdirection, but like when they zoom in, like they draw your eye to a certain thing.
It's not a misdirection; it's a direction.
Foreshadowing. Yeah. It is foreshadowing.
It's foreshadowing,
but there's different elements to foreshadowing.
When it's a thing. So when it's like a thing or a place or something like that, it's called intrinsic value.
Yeah.
When it's a person, it's actually called a cameo, and it's not like a cameo has been bastardized and used to like show a famous person. But
shameless.
No, the way that they slowly zoom in and show importance on someone. When it's on a person, not a thing, that's actually called a cameo.
Cameo is a term for a shot.
That's called a cameo.
Yeah, because they zoom in on it,
right?
But
they use celebrities for cameos.
At the time, you don't know why they're doing that.
So in the beginning of this film, whenever they were racing around the hills and they showed Femke in her Ferrari, right?
Fireball.
The first shot that you saw Femke's face, it was like a tight shot, and it like slowly zoomed in. That's a cameo shot.
Yeah.
So like,
that was the beginning of her tracking James Bond.
Right, it's true, but that was what that shot was called. It's a very specific thing, and when it's done with a thing, it's an intrinsic value with a person's cameo.
As the introduction to a character, they're letting you know, hey, this is going to be an important part of the film.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like what they do with that's a cameo an object.
It's not always just like it's not like a person they sneak into it, a famous person.
That's what it's become known as now.
Right, but technically that's known as a cameo shot.
Sean Bean is skinny as hell in this.
He's young.
Yeah.
He's young.
Young as hell, yeah. He's younger than us in this film.
Probably so, yeah, probably.
Oh, for sure. I bet he's not even older than 30 in this film.
God damn, really?
Kill him.
It makes you feel so good when I see these people.
So somehow a lot of this shit is burning and in flames.
He was born in 1959. So.
Oh, yeah, so he
was over 30.
Well, do the math. How
60 to 90 is 30. So this is 95, so he's 36.
So he's about 35, 36.
Yeah.
He's pushing 40.
So he's my age. Damn, he looks better than I do.
Yeah. Think so?
I love how the majority, 85% of the shit in this room is on fire or has exploded. But the computer that matters most that Alan Cumming is sitting at somehow still works and is connected to everything, and he can still.
That's handy.
One little IBM computer, he's able to redirect an entire satellite.
I love this Bond movie for like the duel of the double.
This was the last level of the storyline.
They never did this before. They did
because they present them as equals. Like you're like, oh shit, this is like these are two people with equal training. Like,
neither one of them can do anything that the other guy can't anticipate.
I guess they do that in Skyfall too. Javier Bardem was
he was a former agent.
He was a former agent.
Yeah, you're right. So
that's
she
callback,
disavowed and left him to die.
And that's why he was so good. Like that's why he was.
He had character motivation.
Yeah.
Yes. One of those. He's not exactly a bad guy because you'd be pissed too.
He's a sympathetic bad guy.
Yeah.
He's still a bad guy. He's still an asshole. Fuck that. Him and his false teeth.
Well, that's why. I mean, the whole impetus of him being a bad guy was because.
And they're both disfigured. Trevelyan and him.
He'd been wrong, but that's protocol. That's what she was supposed to do.
And those are things that could have happened to Bond at any moment.
That same, like the tagline, every time Ethan Hunt gets his mission in every Mission Impossible, it's like, if you are caught or killed, we will disavow any knowledge of you or your mission. Yeah,
Have y'all seen the movie with Tom Cruise, American Made, about Barry Seal?
Oh yeah, sure have.
That's a really good flick. I think they just put it on Amazon Prime. You should check it out.
I love it. I went and watched that in the theaters. I was so excited for it.
It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
A really good movie.
It's on par with those sort of biopics like Lord of War and Blow. It's very much like that. Like,
Okay.
But the Barry Seal story,
the
Barry Seal story is so crazy that they don't even have to like make it. They don't have to do it up. Like they just
Tell it.
Yeah, they just tell it.
present the facts.
Yeah, it's that crazy of a story. It's
So,
crazy
like
than
that
fiction.
shot right there, and then the shot in the beginning where you see him open the door slowly and he peers out. Like so many iconic like close-ups of him in this film, and he probably has more one-liners in this movie than any of the other ones. And also something that I learned earlier
Fucking choke it
today,
up.
of all the actors that have played James Bond, what Pierce Brosnan did, what, 4 altogether? 4 or 5? 4. He has more kills than any of the other Bonds.
He has the most kills.
Yeah, he has the most kills.
If
And it's like a whopping number. Like
Nah.
he like the number 2 guy, like he dwarfs
I'm
him.
Googling it.
you know what, if Timothy Dalton had 4, it would have been him. Guaranteed.
Well, they said that Timothy, like when I was saying earlier, like when he sets the bad guy on fire and license to kill.
if Timothy Dalton would have
that's
had 4,
considered like the most brutal.
I guarantee he would have had more because Timothy Dalton was like bad, dude. He was
The
like,
guy's standing over him in
was
the final
brutal,
scene,
dog.
and he just lights him on fire,
He's
just
brutal.
standing
Yeah.
there. Yeah, very.
I loved him. I'm telling you, the most underrated
So
Bond is
Pierce
Timothy
Brosnan
Dalton.
has the most sexual conquest,
Yeah.
the most kills, and
Yeah.
the most martinis. No, he doesn't. Daniel Craig has the most martinis.
He's alcoholic in the
He's
movie.
the drunkest.
Yeah, I love that scene where he's
No,
got
actually, he
the,
doesn't have the most
He's
lays.
got the scorpion on his hand, and he's taking the shots.
George Lazenby has the most lays.
He only did one movie.
Was there
How could he
an
have more?
orgy in
that
that
can't
movie?
be. Yeah,
Three in one movie. And
Oh, okay.
on Her Majesty's Secret Service, he laid 3 down.
well, Pierce nailed 2 in this one, and he's got at least 1 for each other film. So
I guess it's per
that must
movie.
be more
Weird
per
graphic,
film.
yeah.
If they're doing it like per
And that's
how many
probably
films.
fair. That's probably fair.
Yeah,
Do-
but yeah,
do kills
Pierce,
per
Pierce
movie.
has more lays and more kills.
It's probably made anyone who had
Dude,
like
did he
heights
just hit him
problems.
directly with his butthole, like right in
With
his
his
face, or was
boot?
that his shoe?
It was his boot.
It looked like
He was like, "Remember this, James?
Remember this beehole?
Remember the
coming.
good old days?"
It's coming right for you.
This is always something that like bothers me in movies. Like hanging from one arm, I don't care how strong you are, is really hard to do.
Very hard. Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I don't care how jacked you are. It's
Watch,
really hard to hang from one arm for an extended amount of time.
Watch those Fear Factor episodes where they had to do it.
Another moment where he could have just straight up
Ninja-
kicked him in the
was it Ninja
face
Warrior
and ended
or
it.
something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
any Ninja Warrior or
All that shit's upper body
Well,
shit.
they always had the the montages of each person.
That blue screen backdrop right there. Not horrible for the time, but
I've seen worse.
still noticeable.
this is probably like
Makes you
6
feel
years
better
ago.
knowing that they were actually there.
It's a lot easier to do blue screen or green screen.
How the hell did you get on
backdrops
the copter,
if you're
Natalia?
in bright light or sunshine? It's a lot easier to hide those
And why you-
outlines.
why you
so
trying
you
to-
could definitely see those hard black
Yeah.
outlines around him right there.
Yeah, right there. That's really where it shows
Yeah.
in those kind of shots.
Because Sean Bean's in all black.
No. For me.
Oh, that's cold, dog.
Damn.
Now here's what's the most insane, stupid thing in this film.
Cold-blooded.
Whoa,
Why?
no.
Why? Really?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Limbs would have flown off.
He would have
like-
exploded.
Yeah, he would have. Blood would have came.
No, he would not
He would
be alive
have
right
looked
now.
very different.
I mean,
blood
he
would have
probably
came
he
flying
probably
out of
wouldn't- He
him.
probably wouldn't explode, but he
No.
would not be alive.
No,
I'm gonna be devil's advocate. It depends on what that thing's made of.
it would have been instant death. No
I'm-
matter what it's made of, that height.
It does depend
He
on
might
what
have
it's made
passed
of.
through.
It's-
I mean,
no, it's
he
true.
fell
It's
for
true.
how many seconds? Like 2 seconds.
It's
mean-
yeah. It
Well, look.
It literally
Okay, look. I
depends
think we
on
get a
what that
wide
thing's
shot.
made
Look,
of.
just look at that right there. Look at how far down that is.
But it.
I'm sorry.
if-
I know
but-
you're playing devil's advocate, but
No,
there's
but I mean, seriously,
fucking
if
way.
that was-
his brain would like blow
No, I
directly
don't-
out of his ass.
Honestly, well,
No,
following.
maybe not even that extreme. Just his head hitting that
yeah,
concrete
that
would have
probably
been
would've-
death.
It wasn't concrete. I think it was
No,
like
that's
fiberglass.
aluminum or something.
He's still alive. The reason they did it is so that he would still be alive when that all
Whatever,
fell on him.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for the purposes of the movie, that's why. But I'm sorry.
So if
no,
he would,
no
if he,
fucking way.
if he would have fell on earth or on concrete, absolute death. But that looked like very light constructed
He
fiberglass.
would have fell through it.
Let's say it was fucking water. He would have at least been unconscious.
Yes! I am invincible!
Yeah.
when he
sure.
when
Oh,
he
this is a
when,
good one. Yeah.
when he hit the ground, he bounced and went.
yeah, that
He
was
"Ugh."
just got covered in liquid nitrogen.
liquid nitrogen.
Because thanks to Terminator 2, people knew what liquid nitrogen was.
He is dead now.
Don't we see? Did we not see him like fall? I thought we saw him fall over afterwards and shatter like the T-1000.
Nah, he did.
They don't cut back to that.
That's enough. That's enough.
Are you alright?
Let's fuck right now.
I don't think I would be horny after that. I'd be like, nah, I'm. You know what? I'm gonna go home.
Have a martini.
I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna wind down.
Again.
I'm gonna wind down. I think.
I could use a hot bath and a martini, baby.
I think I might bury my
But
colleague
he just goes
Trevelyan.
straight into
You
making
know?
out. Yeah, I just murdered my friend of what we were in the field together for
Yeah.
15 years.
I might try to get power back on in
Did y'all
Puerto
miss the
Rico.
line, his closing line on that relationship? It's like, for England,
He
James?
goes,
said,
"No,
no,
for
for
me."
me.
For me.
Fuck that guy. He's
For
not
me.
worried about that dude.
Yeah, that's true.
He's
like
dead to him. Twice dead to him.
To the very end, James Bond
Said I'd be here, huh?
for God and country. I don't know why, but when I was a kid, I thought that was so awesome.
When they were like, yo,
You
Marines.
see how like
So
all the
it's-
helicopters just appear out
Yeah,
of nowhere?
like, yeah.
Like they didn't hear them?
Like you can't hear helicopters.
Are you kidding?
Well, yeah, and also there's what 30 dudes hiding out. So
Like,
they
y'all
were
could have helped at least one
Yeah, they were just chilling.
time.
Yeah, like you couldn't even.
They
Like,
were just,
give me some pressure, maybe.
yeah, because clearly it took y'all quite a while to sneak in here and then be laying.
Well,
still.
I mean, okay, so that is representative of America. We kind of like to clean up after.
Yeah, we
come-
were like,
we
well,
come in at a good moment. And
you
then
seemed
go.
like you had it under control, James. So we were just gonna kind of hang back a
Yeah,
few.
that's 2 world wars with that.
I mean, we're trying nations build right now,
Just
and we got our eyes on Puerto Rico because we've been wanting Puerto Rico
well, they
for
were
a
like,
while.
we were hoping you would die, James.
we
so
already
we could come in and take
wait,
credit for the
wait,
whole thing.
we already got Puerto Rico? Oh, I didn't even know that. So Puerto Rico's already
Well-
America?
Well,
Oh, I
James
didn't know
Bond is
that.
a secret agent, so the Americans are totally going to take credit for that whole thing that just happened, so that they don't blow his cover.
Hell yeah.
Because
he-
probably won't say anything.
He
about
can't blow his cover,
Not-
so the Americans
Well, no,
will
that's
be
the big
like,
thing about spy films. Is
they're gonna be like,
all
yeah,
these,
that was all us.
all these things happen that you have no idea about. And that's why they're exciting because like this
Ticker
could be
Day
happening
Parade.
Right now.
Ticker Day Parade.
It's
for,
like in Men in Black.
12
Every
dudes.
day there's an intergalactic war. Every day.
Every
Day the world
We don't
might
know about.
end. Like,
Yeah.
that's why Men in Black.
That's what's scary. Is
yeah.
there's who knows what shit that we
Because
just
Men in
don't
Black
know
was
about.
technically kind of a spy film in a way.
Here come the man.
It was a government agency, yeah.
Well, that was Goldeneye. Final thoughts.
I had fun. I think we dropped some knowledge and we had some fun at the same time. I would call it a success. I hope y'all enjoyed listening to it. I went to Chris last time. Let's go to Aaron first this time. We kind of skipped over you.
I would say that I really love this movie. I do, and I apologize that we went on so many rants, but I also
Yeah, we
don't.
pretty much ignored it.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
But we also we didn't. We went really in depth in James Bond sort of culture in all the movies. We asked a lot of questions about different, and we hit like all the marks because we really treated this as like as our first outing in this universe, in the James Bond universe. And
It was our first spy film.
it was our first spy film, and we had a lot of fun with it. We hope you had a lot of fun with it. I know that we didn't really like pay attention to this movie in its plot beats as we usually do.
I gotta disagree. I think we did. Well, we did talk about other Bond films too.
We did,
So,
and we
I mean,
reined it in.
Yeah, but that's still kind of within the.
But we did a lot of fun facts. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is me, Zach. Zach, what about you?
I had a good time. We kind of ignored the whole movie, but I don't care. I mean, that's why we did it, right? So we can
guess
ignore
so.
it and
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
things around it. No, I had a really great time.
This was one of those like
we
movie
touched on a
makers
lot of
make-
different
yeah.
touched on a lot of different subjects. You know, we talked about video games. We talked about the Bond series and everything inside
Right.
that. New developments in the Bond series and how it's changed and evolved over time. Like, I had a good time. It was fun. Chris, what do you think?
It's a damn good movie. I've always enjoyed it. The video game's better. I'll say that.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite Bond movie by any means, but it's definitely not my least favorite.
Do we want to?
So, yeah.
Do we want to do like a secret sort of thing? Do we want to? Whoever's listening to this right now, do we want to ask a question or anything?
I would like some. Oh wow, the Goldeneye song was written by Bono.
And The Edge.
Bono
Wow.
and Thedge.
And performed by Tina
Fucking
Turner.
I hate it.
I know. I liked it when it was just Tina Turner.
Do we want to do that?
We have an A to Z movie night group.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We've had one for a second, but I haven't really done much with it.
Let's do a poll of who's your favorite Bond. Can we do that?
I think we kind of did that
Around the
earlier.
time we put this out, yeah, we'll do that.
Let's just do that. And, just get on that poll, and we'll ask like, who's your favorite Bond? It could be Connery, Lesenby, Moore, Dalton, Brosnan.
It's gonna be. I'm gonna guess that Sean Connery will win.
I'm gonna guess
Daniel
that because
Craig will pull a hard second.
Yeah.
see, the thing is
Followed by
like
Pierce.
everyone says Sean Connery because
He's
it's the OG
classic.
static.
He's the
I
classic.
understand it.
That's the easy
I do, and
answer.
he's also like badass. Like I
Yeah,
get it.
he's really
I
good.
totally get it. But I kind of want to like a secret thing too. I don't know.
Yeah, y'all let us know.
The password is
I-
baboon.
I really,
The password is baboon.
I get off on feedback. So
All right.
that's
well,
my thing.
no
Yeah.
more rambling. We're just gonna close this one out. Thank y'all guys for listening. This has been A to Z Movie Night. Goldeneye.